All right, guys, we are starting up the Next to Nothing podcast right about now.
Catch
Hello,
up.
hello.
Hello.
Hey, what's happening,
Hello,
guys?
hello.
How you guys doing?
Not much. I'm doing pretty good considering how bad it all could have gone for me the last couple days.
Yeah. Oh man,
How's it going with you, Ren?
dude, I'm doing great. I'm doing pretty solid. I mean, not the best. I had to send in my VR headset back in for return because it after like 4 days of using it, it just stopped displaying. It was all like, I'm done now. That's it. So I send it back in. Hopefully, I can get the next one by Monday. Hopefully, we'll see. But aside from that, I'm great, dude. I'm fantastic.
Awesome. Well, if we're ready to start, we'll get right into it.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Next to Nothing, the show where we talk about how to waste your time, not your money in gaming. Sorry, I'm like new place, new intro. No. I am your host, Danny K, speaking a little quieter because I am in a brand new apartment and I don't know how my neighbors are going to react to knowing that I broadcast out of here. With me, as always, the wonderful, beautiful, ever reliable renditions.
Hi, I'm not reliable at all, but I hope you guys are doing wonderful. Hello.
You have yet to really miss a show that's beyond your or that was within your control.
That's fair. That's fair. Shockingly fair. Oh, man.
With us this week, we have two guests because it is E3 week, which means it is the biggest week in gaming, which requires us to bring in two guests. We have from across the seas, SoWasWeiEinFan.
Hello. I have wasted a lot of my time to tell you how to waste your time not.
Oh, man.
So welcome, fan. We appreciate you for joining us. I know it's probably getting pretty late over there in Germany.
Just turned 2 a.m. for me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so a big thank you to our guy. And then we also have our MrGreenElite, who is just so, I talk about reliable, but like, let me just say the reason I asked GreenElite to be on the show because, like I said, I'm in a brand new place. I wasn't
Mhm.
sure if like I was gonna get like the internet set up in time. So I'm like, oh man, who can I get that can fill in for me? So we have at least 3 people on the show, and that was MrGreenElite.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
GreenElite, I appreciate you for being just like reliable and constant and always willing to come on the show. Seriously, it's awesome.
No, I'm always glad to be here.
So Fan and GreenElite, before we get into all of the topics here, why don't we at the top of the show have you guys plug yourselves? Where can people find you, and what are they going to find when they get there?
Yeah. My name is way too complicated, but it's displayed under my face, so you can put that into Google and you'll find me everywhere. I use this pretty consistently, even though I have like a million names online because no one can fucking remember this. It's incredible what people come up with when I first pop in chat.
Oh,
Great.
GreenElite, yeah, what do you do, and where can people find you?
I am a variety streamer. Well, I can't really say I'm a variety. I've been playing a lot. Oh, go ahead.
I lost you a little bit there. What have you
Ye-
been playing a lot of?
I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2, and then Apex Legends. I've been trying to look for some new PC games to play as well,
Mhm.
just to keep up with that whole variety tag.
I know that feeling all too well.
Yeah, right now it's tough. Like I want to play Battlefield 4 and
Mhm.
go back to like how I used to play PC gaming, but like nobody wants to watch Battlefield 4 anymore. So yeah, I'm on Twitch, of course, Twitter, Instagram. I have my own Discord server now, which is fantastic.
Nice.
And
Right
setting
on,
up
dude.
for a 24-hour stream for my birthday and second year Twitch anniversary on July 7th.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on, dude.
So
Getting old. Terrible twos.
So I will be putting everybody's Twitch info and every other link that they want me to put in there in the description of this podcast. If you're watching the VOD or on YouTube, it'll be down in the video description as well. So now that that's out of the way,
Mhm.
Let's get
we
it.
have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot
Um,
literally everywhere to say, to be honest.
yeah, so we're discussing how we're going to talk about this, and I think the best way, as we agreed
Mhm.
before the show started, would be to kind of talk about this chronologically.
Yeah.
And so that's going to actually begin before E3 with the Google Stadia
Mhm.
um, Direct, the Stadia Direct, or the what I think they called it. So in terms of Google Stadia, we got some information on pricing. We got more stats from them, which I don't think we really need to talk about the stats. And we got a game list as well.
Mhm.
Okay.
So the Google Stadia Direct.
Mhm.
Um, so just like a couple quick little stats. It's what's going to be required on the user end, which maybe I should start with what is Google Stadia for people who might not have, if you've been
Yeah.
living under a rock. So Google Stadia is the cloud streaming game service that Google put out back in March. They announced back in March. It started with Project Stream in 2018, where if you wanted to, you could play Assassin's Creed Odyssey via the Google Chrome browser.
Mhm.
Now that is a full thing where basically any device that can run Chrome will run Google Stadia. They announced a controller with it. And so it's basically going from a server and streaming to your screen.
Yeah.
Um, and so now we know more. Required on the user end is a 3 point, or I'm sorry, is a 35 megabit stream or a download speed.
Mhm.
That's at the absolute minimum, and that's going to supposedly give you 4K 60 FPS HDR with 5.1 surround sound quality. Not to say that everyone's stuff will support that, but
Mhm.
that is what they are claiming will be available with the Google Stadia um, Premium at the very least.
Mhm.
And so, like I said, we did get the pricing structure. We have the non-premium where you buy the game license to stream from Google. So you buy it from Google, and you get the game license, and that's just on a per game basis.
Mhm.
You have the premium option, which is $10 a month, gives you access to gives you the quality of up to 4K 60 FPS HDR. 5.1 surround sound.
Uh-huh.
They made some partnerships with Destiny 2, with the
Mhm.
people at Bungie, so you have some Destiny 2 access as well. You're gonna get some discounts on future games, and then you have the full access to the game, the whole game roster, which is going to include Baldur's Gate 3, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, The Division 2, Elder Scrolls Online, Metro Exodus, and a lot more. And then we also have the Founders Edition. So for $130,
Mhm.
uh, it comes with a limited edition controller, the Stadia controller, 3 months of premium for you and a friend, by the way.
Okay.
Um, a 4K supported Chromecast Ultra, which MSRP is for $69. And you get, which by the way, the Google Stadia controller itself also retails for that price, I believe. Um, and that's not, whatever you want to put a price tag on a limited edition Stadia controller.
Mhm.
And then you also get your first dibs on Stadia usernames and gamer tags. That's the full
Yeah.
that's the full thing that you get with Google Stadia. That's all the pricing information. Like I said, we got a lot of games announced with it, and yeah, that's the kind of the first big event that hit us here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Sorry, I got busy. Chat is blowing up. I was
Yeah,
like,
I
oh
was in chat
wow,
also,
chat.
but the first note I have actually is that the pricing model strikes me as odd. From
Yeah.
what I understood, it's like you pay a subscription, but then you also have to buy the games. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
So then what's the point? When the
So,
whole thing was that it's supposed to be like a Netflix of gaming, as far as I
well,
have understood it. But on Netflix, you pay a price and then you have just access to everything.
yeah. So like a Netflix style thing would be something like Xbox Game Pass or Uplay Plus, which we are going to get to later. That's going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. Things like
Yeah.
that. Stadia is more along the lines of I think Nvidia even has the same sort of thing. It's meant to be like a PC that you like stream to, and then that plays the game for you. Not necessarily that it's a Netflix system. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
like a computer that you can kind of rent. Does that make sense? So like if you don't have really good specs on a PC, you can still play high-end PC games. That's kind of like the
Mm-hmm.
main goal of that sort of thing. So that way not everybody
Okay.
has to buy like a high-end GPU or something along those lines. That's kind of like the crucial points that it wants to go for. That being said, I still don't really like I get it, but at the same time it's definitely not for everybody because like realistically I can't imagine that the latency has changed at all. If you guys don't
Yeah.
remember, I think it was 180, either 160 or
Yeah.
180 ms minimum, not
Mm-hmm.
including like if you're playing anything multiplayer or anything along those lines. Um, I don't know, and that's a decent big deal. Not necessarily for
Mm-hmm.
most single player games, but if you're playing like any single player game where latency, like actual controls matter to a degree, those can be really
Yeah.
huge issues if you go into an FPS that has like a decent difficulty to it and
Hmm.
you just keep dying because you can't aim in time, like your character is already past the limit of like sight and then you're just dead
Mm-hmm.
because of that. That's a huge issue. I feel like
Yeah.
that's a big issue and that's one of the core struggles that that's going to suffer from. um
Severe ghosting.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's my big issue with it. I think it'll be okay for people that like casually play games, but I don't know, it's something, I guess. I don't know. I
So
feel
if
like it's
that's the
overrated at
goal,
the moment.
I feel like a good marketing move on Stadia's part would be to sponsor a bunch of esports tournaments then.
Hmm.
Just saying, like that seems to be the most useful like use of this, because if you are having to buy the games on there like it's a storefront, it's
Mm-hmm.
competing with too much stuff that's better at the moment.
Yeah.
So if
So
that's like the own use of it, or the only use that makes it distinct, then they should really focus that, because I didn't get that out of the presentation at all.
yeah, so that's one of the big issues that like Stadia like in terms of business, in terms of like actually presenting itself, it has done not a great job of doing that specifically. I know a lot of people that have
Mm-hmm.
struggled thinking multiple times that it is like a game service, right? Like you pay a multiple, like you pay an amount a month and then you get access to games that you can play on their thing, which is
Hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily true. You just get access to their hardware. That's it. That's the only thing that you get. So possibly, if you have something like an Xbox Game Pass or things like that, you can like combine those to a degree, and then just be like, okay, well, I'll play the Xbox Game Passes on that, and then I'm
Mm-hmm.
good to go. I haven't personally watched the Stadia conference that was at A3, but I distinctly remember this being the issue that they talked about the last time when they really like got into Stadia. And hopefully they could like really, you know, really mention that versus just being like, we're not like we don't sell games. Actually, I don't
Yeah.
necessarily know if they sell games. That's actually another thing that I'm not quite sure of. Because I know that you have to
So
pay for the license of a game, but I don't know if you necessarily like have to buy it through them. Does that
I
make
think you
sense?
do. Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
I
really
think
weird.
that they do have like a storefront. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to me how you would be
Right.
like, okay, so I buy Assassin's Creed Odyssey off the Ubisoft store,
Hmm.
then you just like sign into your Google account and like put in a
Well,
code or something like that. That's the only way that would work.
Hmm.
that's what
It
I'd be
makes.
thinking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is like you could be able to sign your account. So, say for example, because it's Google, a lot of things do
Mm-hmm.
have integrations with Google, at least for like login purposes. So, like, say for example, you want to log into, I'm not sure if it is with UPlay specifically, but say you want to log into UPlay, you can log
Hmm.
into it using your Google email. Does that make sense? And then it
Mm-hmm.
could detect
Yeah.
based on that your library. That was my
Mm-hmm.
assumption. That was what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But I could also see them just being like, no, you have to buy the games here too. Which, if that's the case, I
Well,
think that's super dumb. I think
Yeah, I
that's
thought it
I
was
unbelievably
think.
dumb.
like there are games that you buy on Steam that require the Uplay launcher, and so you have to cross
Mhm.
sign that
Hmm.
and stuff. I thought that was working like that.
Yeah, I think so. For the base one, I think you buy a game through
Hmm.
like the Google Stadia store or the
Okay.
distribution platform, and then you can use that through Google Stadia. I don't know if there's going to be some sort of like connect, and maybe there will be like maybe if you do like the premium, I could imagine if you do the premium,
Mhm.
the $10 a month service, maybe you can connect like your Uplay or something like that, and then
Yeah.
run the Division 2.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. That's the pricing. They
Mhm.
need to do a better job of marketing some of these details
Yeah.
because I don't have any of those details in my notes.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I
Like
remember I
we've
watched the
all
whole
know
thing.
like a bit about this, and yet none of us know
Yeah.
the actual details of these sorts of things. So that's a big issue.
Mhm.
The
We should be able to
conference
like
was not
know
clear
this
on
sort
that.
of
It
stuff.
was like really sleekly presented, but
Yeah.
what they were actually saying was confusing.
Very
Yeah.
vague. They got to keep it open.
Yeah.
Mhm. So that was the Google Stadia, and then we
Mhm.
got the Pokemon Direct, which was before E3 again,
Mhm.
and was more focused on the new Sword and Shield
Mhm.
game.
Yeah.
We got let's see, for the Pokemon Direct, we got did we get the 2 legendaries? It's been a little while now.
Yeah,
So
we
I'm trying to
we got them, and that was like the big thing that I had thoughts on that I got shit for.
Mhm.
Let's talk about
Um,
everything else first because I liked everything
yeah.
else.
we got a couple new Pokemon. There was so it's a lot like, it looks like it's going to be more like the Let's Go Pikachu and
Mhm.
Eevee,
Yeah.
where you're running around and then the Pokemon are just in the wild and you see them. It's not like you're gonna have these random encounters based on like the tiles.
Mhm.
I was impressed with that graphically. I think that seeing all those Pokemon just stomping around
Mhm.
was really cool. It was what I pictured in my head when I played Gold back in,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a very cool thing for me personally,
Mhm.
just the look of it.
We got a couple more Pokemon. We got
The sheep, which was
Wooloo,
MVP.
yeah. Like this turtle with like big old chompers. We got some grass types.
Mhm.
I will say in the Nintendo Direct for E3 today, or in the Nintendo demos, we actually
Mhm.
got 2 more Pokemon.
Yeah.
Mhm. I
And
haven't
then
seen those actually because after the Direct I was going straight into EA, so
yeah,
I didn't see the treehouse stuff.
it was an imp looking Pokemon, and
Mhm.
then a corgi looking Pokemon that I believe is an electric type.
Hitting it right in the feels with the internet there.
Yeah.
Everyone loves corgis.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's also a game based on Britain. You can't not have corgis.
That's true. That's absolutely true. I will say in regards to the plant, the first form looked fine. The second form looked like shit. I hope there's a third form that looks cool again. Also, there was
and then-
Edgebird.
Yeah, and then there is the Metal Crow.
Yeah.
And then if you want to give your thoughts on the legendaries, I think the legendaries look fine. I just
Mhm.
can't tell what typing they are except for steel fighting. That's all I see.
Yeah. So they brought those legendaries out. Now, the shield one, I was already like, man, this looks clunky. This looks this looks like a Digimon. And
Mhm.
then the sword dog came out, and I was like, this looks proper dumb. Like I could think of
really like Sword. I really
I-
like Sword Dog. I'm gonna be honest. I'll fight you on that one. Sword Dog looks awesome.
I already had a fight on this one because on the Discord that I run with, there was another guy who's a friend of mine who was really liking them, and then I was
Uh-huh.
like, man, I don't like these at all. These look terrible. I didn't say these look like shit, but they were probably the worst reveal legendaries I have seen so far. There are
Mhm.
worse in general, but like in case of the box art legendaries, those are the worst ones in my opinion.
Mhm.
And then especially the thing that rubs me the wrong way about the sword one
Uh-huh.
is that I thought that the sword was integrated in the body somehow, like the shield is. So
Right.
I was picturing maybe okay, one is maybe like a lion or something, even though we had like 20 lions already. But have like a lion with a shield, mane, whatever. The fact that
Mhm.
it's a dog make it look a bit dumb, but I can live with that. And then maybe like a giant bird with like blade wings and a broadsword beak, something like metal like that. And then it's
Mhm.
just like a wolf with a sword in his mouth. And I'm like, this looks dumb.
Dude, I'm down with the Dark Souls wolf. I'm totally down with it. It is like a complete ripoff of like a wolf from DS, like from the Dark Souls series. Honestly, I'm so down with it. I will agree though. The shield one, I think, looks stupid. I looked at it and I was like, "Yep, this is dumb. I know I'm not getting this version. I can guarantee that much." Oh
Also,
man.
why do both of these have to be dogs? I don't understand that either. Why don't they differentiate? Because normally, if you make multiple legendaries that are the same thing, they are part of a trio. So why this now? And also, why did you make the box art make them look even worse?
Green, you've had a smirk there. You look like you have some thoughts. Let's go on ahead and hear your thoughts.
I have some issues. Anything after Gen 2.
Oh yeah.
The sword Pokemon, the sword legendary. I swear it gives me a feeling of Suicune mixed with Zoro from One Piece.
Oh yeah, I saw like I'm going to name it Zoro so often on Twitter, and everyone was thinking they were super clever on that.
Yeah,
The
that's all I get.
The names are really hard. I can't even remember the fucking names.
Nobody knows the names anymore. Once you get past 151, well, it's like, I would say once it gets past 3rd gen,
Yeah.
it's like you get devoid of all the names anymore.
I mean, like as
151 is instilled in my brain.
I feel it. I totally feel
You know, and I started on the original red and yellow with my Game Boy, not even my Game Boy Color, my Game Boy. You know, because we couldn't afford the top of the line Game Boy Advances. It took like 2 years after Game Boy Advance came out that I got a Game Boy Advance and got Platinum. Or no, Crystal. I got Crystal.
Yeah.
And then in that one, by that time, I'm like, man, I miss 151.
Oh man.
But yeah, those legendaries bottom line look dumb. It's like they had so much time, they could have come up with something better. I know that a lot of people worked very hard to get this together and make all of this happen, and I'm not knocking their efforts. I'm knocking the designs. The designs look stupid. Yeah. It's discount
agree.
Sol Galeo, and it's like Zoro the dog.
I'm down with Sword Dog. Listen, that I will stand on that one. Shield Dog looks dumb. I'll agree with that. He looks doopy af. I can't handle it. Like when they showed him as the initial one, I was like, oh god, no. And then Sword Dog showed up and I was like, redeemed. Oh man.
I'm also surprised that they went 2 dogs again.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, you had Suicune and Entei and them
And
like
Raikou.
the trios. Yeah, you had the trio of them. After that, it's kind of like you're recycling.
Yeah.
And then plus they're running out of Pokemon ideas. That's the issue.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's only so many you can make.
So many.
We've already had like a garbage Pokemon that's happened.
I pretty much my brain melted when they made an ice cream cone Pokemon.
Melted. I see what you did there.
Yeah, literally, like it's like no, I cannot do this anymore.
I like the ice creams. I also like the little what's the name of those gears? That was the stupidest thing.
I wouldn't know.
Thing. I loved it.
So we did get a little bit more information from the Nintendo Direct today in regards to Pokemon Sword and Shield. So they the Pokeball Plus, I think.
Oh yeah.
You can apparently take a Pokemon with you in that. It's gonna also have some other functionalities, but it's not.
They also showed off the water gym leader who she looks great. In general, I will say the characters that they showed off all look pretty good. The rival is I'm a bit iffy on the rival, but everyone else looks great.
One of my favorite memes that have come from this.
Oh yeah, I already know.
Pokemon Gun.
No, the
are you gonna go Dynamax?
No, we forgot to talk about the Dynamax thing. No, one of my favorite memes that have come out of this was the camera pan to the gym leader that they revealed in the trailer.
Yeah.
And somebody superimposed the very famous line of Ninja yelling what the fuck did you say to me, you little shit? It's so good.
Oh man. I saw that one on Twitter too. And I was just like, I'm down. I'm into it.
I watched that on loop for like 2 minutes straight.
Oh man.
I hurt myself laughing.
Oh my god.
So that was the Pokemon Direct. Oh, we do have the
We should
Dynamax.
talk Dynamax.
Yeah, real quick. Thank you for pulling me back there. What do you guys think about the Dynamax? It's basically like there's a cooperative aspect to Pokemon now.
I
Yeah.
don't know a whole lot about that, to be completely honest with you. I'm gonna be what I did see of the thing though actually looked really good. Like just the game in like general looked really, really solid. It even looked like it was
Yeah.
using the Breath of the Wild engine. That was my immediate first thought when like it showed grass, and I was like, "Is this like a Is this a Zelda engine? Wait, what? Hold on." But like, it looks phenomenal. I really love the art style. I don't really know anything personally of that, but hopefully it's good.
So
I was very surprised that they pulled multiplayer raids in. I wasn't quite sure how that worked. Apparently, they showed those off on the Treehouse, which my cousin watched while I started watching EA. So from what he told me, what he saw, it's that 4 players fight against a Dynamax Pokemon, which is both a stat boost and certain attacks get stronger. Not all of them, but certain ones.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then you take turns. Of course, the Pokemon stays in Dynamax because it's like the only thing there. And then one guy gets the chance to catch it. I'm sure that's on a first come first serve basis. So someone can try to catch it, and I'm guessing that player gets the Pokemon, but everyone gets rewards if they win the battle.
Yeah.
So they get like items and gold and experience, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like
I did see some of this. I didn't realize that was what it was. But yes, I did see some of it. I thought it actually looked really cool. I thought it was definitely an interesting take. I've been really liking the like interesting design choices they've been doing lately. Like for example, while I do have issues with the Let's Go series, namely with like catching, I feel like catching is completely dumb in that personally. It's a nice gimmick for like 30 minutes and then you're already done with it. And then that's it.
But then also Dynamax is a thing that you can do in battle, and that gym leaders and I'm assuming the Elite Four and the Champ can also do. So I'm interested to see how that technically works, because in that aspect it's going to last 3 turns. It's going to do the same thing, like it's a stat boost, certain attacks get stronger. It's debatable at the moment if it's going to be like a legal mechanic in competitive. I would be interested to see how that works out. Because in competitive you also have like Z attacks and you have mega evolutions as well floating around. So that will be interesting.
Yeah. What I will say in terms of the Dynamax is I don't want a new gimmick like that, a new battle gimmick every game.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was actually really disappointed with Sun and Moon not having mega evolutions. I'm like, can we get like a few more mega evolutions? You know, there's some Pokemon that really deserve it. You know. So yeah, I would like to see that change. Like, can we go back to megas like after this game, or can you guys include megas in this game?
Maybe they will. We don't know enough yet.
Yeah.
But
so
I will say that just the sheer fact that they take the same Pokemon, just make it bigger, reeks like someone just threw that idea in and no one could think of anything better. So they made the best of it. But I am interested to see how big a Dynamaxed Wailord is going to be.
So that was the Pokemon Direct. I'm gonna kind of keep us moving here.
Yeah, please.
So now chronologically, we're at E3.
Yes.
Let's just do a quick if you guys want to put like a rating on this,
on
or
the
if
entire
you just
thing,
want to do your general thoughts, just over the whole thing.
If we're doing an entire thing sort of thing, it's okay. It wasn't anything absolutely phenomenal, to be honest. If we're talking about specific, like for example, my favorite one was definitely the Ubisoft one, and then Bethesda beyond just took a dump on the stage. It was horrible. I thought it was one of the worst conferences I've ever seen in my life. I almost threw a fit. I was actually in a stream with somebody else watching it, and we were talking about it. And I jokingly said, watch them throw out a Fallout 76 BR. And then they did. And then I was done. I was beyond done. I'm done.
Calypso didn't happen.
Oh, man. I could get one.
Please do.
Oh
Please do.
man.
Okay, I'm gonna go next.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
What I want out of an E3 is just a bunch of cool looking indie games. Because that's what I associate with gaming. I'm pretty much done with AAA gaming at this point because of all the bullshit that they pull and all the promises that they've broken. So I got that out of a lot of conferences this year. So I'm not as negative on it, but I will say that especially last year was stronger than this year. Like this year, we had like a bunch of really cool announcements. We had some strong announcements. We had a distinct lack of gameplay through a lot of it. Like they didn't show as much gameplay as the last couple of years. At the very least, they also didn't have fake like gaming chatter as well. So I guess that was the trade-off.
Yeah.
Favorite is either Square Enix, which surprised me actually, how good I thought their presentation was, or Nintendo. Like the last two basically were like the strongest in my opinion, and weakest definitely EA. Bethesda also wasn't great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Green, how are your general feelings been?
I thought this E3, like the last 5 years, has been below average.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, definitely below average. Like, if it was a 1 through 10 scale, I would solidly give it a 3.
Oh,
okay.
Damn. Okay.
Solidly, but I have solid reasons. But I mean, I'm not saying that the whole thing was just
right.
hot steaming garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, there was
a
bits
lot
and pieces.
though.
Yeah, it was a lot. Honestly, Square Enix probably took the cake for me. And surprisingly, Microsoft was up there too.
Yeah.
As I am.
For the last couple of years, Microsoft has been distinctly solid throughout.
Yeah. However, I absolutely shun Microsoft. Well, specifically the Xbox, but because I've been solidly a PlayStation person for the longest time. And then the worst I would have to say Bethesda was pretty hot trash. Hot trash.
Bad.
So
yeah. What about yours, Danny? What are yours?
Okay, so for me, like overall, this has been, I'm gonna actually say this is pretty average, because this isn't like, to me, like there's a lot here, but there's nothing like super exciting. What makes this worse, I guess, than like maybe other years, is that a lot of these companies are coming off really bad PR years. Bethesda is
good point.
Bethesda especially is coming off an incredibly bad PR year. EA is coming off a pretty bad PR year, but EA is kind of used to that. Yeah, just kind of like overall, the like what I was expecting, I was really expecting like Bethesda to come out like on their hands and knees, sort of.
I agree.
And not be like explicit about it, but like I expected more like admission of guilt. And instead what we saw was them like kind of brush off the problems that they had this year, and then like announce things that for me, I'm like, did you guys not learn your lesson the first time?
I wholeheartedly agree. That was exactly how I felt the entire time. Yeah.
And we'll discuss all of the specifics here in a little bit. So far the best for me, Nintendo is pretty good. It wasn't anything like super solid from Nintendo, but I mean it's good for Switch users. So even though I'm not a Switch user, I'm like, yeah, if I were a Switch user, I'd be pretty hyped right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff coming there. There's a lot of good stuff coming there. Other than that, Microsoft impressed me a bit. And some of the stuff that we'll talk about here with Microsoft is pretty interesting. So yeah, I'm solid average.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it like maybe if an average. Well, let's see. A C is an average, so C minus.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the exact same boat. If it was like a 1 out of 10 sort of thing, I'd give it like a 6 to like a 7.
Not-
It's okay. It was all right. There wasn't anything like
Yeah.
super crazy. There was a few like good titles that were announced, and we'll get into those. But like for the most part, it wasn't great. It was
It's
not
funny
like
that you said it because I would have also given a 6, and I am a bit more positive towards the whole thing than you, so I'm actually
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of like our general feelings, and maybe that'll change. There's still a little bit of the conference. I know there's a Facebook gaming thing that was going on, but we're just gonna kind of keep going chronologically here. Electronic Arts. Anything off the Electronic Arts conference that
So
you guys
first
saw?
off, who outside of me has seen the EA Play thing?
So I haven't
Very
seen any
little
of
bit.
it. The big things that I really want to know about personally is the oh my gosh, what's it called? Not Origin Access. That's what it's called. Yes, I'm curious if they did anything more with Origin Access because it's been kind of lacking in the first place. I would like to see some like really high end titles on it.
Well, they didn't make a big thing out of Origin. What the whole thing was, so they called it well, let me go back a bit. They announced that they're gonna pull out of E3 a couple months back, yeah?
Right.
And everyone was like, oh, okay, that's probably because they had like this bad PR, and what they don't want is Wilson to come on stage and get booed out because that's a bad look. What they then did was get an outside venue and still have a crowd. So really, they did have a presentation. They just kind of half-assed it.
Yeah.
And it really felt like they half-assed it. It was not great. They did show some gameplay like in the background, but a lot of the time the camera wasn't even looking at the video monitor, so you could just tell that gameplay was looping in the background, but you couldn't really look at it. And then sometimes they actually had like a video that they threw on.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they were talking a lot. They were, especially like when it came to the sports stuff later on, it just dragged, and they were talking, and then they threw on a video package, and I thought, okay, here we go, some gameplay, and then they just showed some people talking. And I was like, no, why?
So they just didn't really show much of anything during that like conference.
So they started out with Star Wars, right? That's like the big single player thing that they can 2 times now.
Yeah.
So they brought those guys
see some
on.
of that. Yeah.
And it didn't really grab me. Like the gameplay looked generic. It was more like platforming than I expected it. Like there was a lot of running around and climbing and stuff. And occasionally he would actually beat up some clones. And those parts of combat looked alright, but it was nothing that we haven't seen before. There was a little robot thing that was pretty cute, but also it was screaming, "I'm a collector's item." It like they will definitely like monetize the shit out of that.
Merch.
Yeah, exactly. I got that vibe from it all the time.
Yeah.
Video game porgs.
Oh man.
My first thought was, oh, he's cute. Second thought was, I'm gonna be a Lego set. Yeah, and then also they got like skill points the entire time, but he never spent them. I was like, spend your skill points.
Show us those skill points.
Yeah, I wanted to see the skill tree, and they never did.
Yeah, I do remember because I was watching some of like it was like the after presentation stuff where they kind of just delve into random stuff. And one of the people actually did. They were all like, hey, can you show off the skill tree? And they basically said no. That was pretty much it. Like they were playing it right then and there, and he was like, It was like, okay. All right then.
So I wasn't grabbed by that. Then they did like Apex Legends stuff, which of course they did because it's the biggest IP right now.
Right.
They just showed off the rest of the season pass from season 1, and then again went into season 2 stuff with a better battle pass, which is not a hard hurdle to accomplish because the first battle pass was shit. And then they showed off the new hero who is named Watson, and she's a girl who can drop electric fences. And you can pretty much decide how you want to drop those. So that's actually pretty cool. Your teammates can walk through them, but when they do, it deactivates. So if an enemy is like on the same level, they can rush through them.
Yeah.
So she's very tactical. And the entire idea behind her is that she's a support who basically rewards a player who knows the map in and out. So she's a really cool idea for a character, I thought. That was the big thing about Apex for me.
Yeah.
Then they showed off some Battlefield 5 maps.
Yeah, I don't care.
Completely. The first one they showed was like a little close combat with a lot of tight streets, and it was pretty cool. And then the second one was a vast one in Africa, which to me plays towards the strength of Battlefield. Battlefield is big maps,
Yeah.
vehicles, and stuff like that. And then they showed other maps, but I didn't really care at that point.
Yeah. My big issue with Battlefield 5 is like they're announcing it as like a release, but it's realistically been like early access. I feel like it's been early access for like a year. Like at this point. It's
Yeah.
nothing crazy. I'm just like, whatever. It's Battlefield 5. Okay. I don't know. That's my feelings on it. I don't think it's that great. I think I even played some of it at a point in time when I tried it on the upgraded Origin Access thing. I believe it was on that. I tried it. Wasn't that fun. I didn't find it to be that fantastic by any means. Yeah. I don't know. It feels bad. I don't think it's particularly
Then they went
fantastic.
into this whole EA Sports stuff, which was the part that dragged, and they were talking about the same thing. They talk about everywhere, better ball physics, and yada
Yeah.
yada yada. This whole,
FIFA.
this whole spiel. We revamped everything. You have
tuned
better
out at
control
that
than
point.
ever.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah.
The only thing on FIFA that they talked about that was kind of interesting, but then they presented it in such a weird way that it was boring again, was that they put street football in a way. There was a big focus on street football this time, which, you know, is something different. I'm going to give them that. And then in Madden, they have like pretty much the star players have special abilities now, which seems kind of broken, but also then they showed it off. That was the thing that they showed the most of in tandem with what the guy was explaining. So it looks balanced. I never played Madden, so I don't know what really I should make of all of this, but it seems all right for a football game. Then the last thing they showed was Sims, and it's Sims.
Yeah.
It's a little island resort thing. They have like all kinds of islandy stuff in there. Mermaids, you can make mermaids in this.
Yeah, I'm sure that anybody that cares about Sims probably is hyped about that because I mean Sims is very like lots of people really
the
like
people
Sims.
in the audience really got hyped for the mermaid. Like as soon as the mermaid was revealed, everyone was losing their shit.
Yeah, and I personally haven't seen the EA conference, so I actually have like a little list here pulled up as well. And I see that they talked about Anthem, and it looks like they didn't talk about anything of actual importance. They were basically like,
they
"Yeah,
didn't
the
make a
game
big
still
thing
exists.
of it.
Please don't leave
us." The way that it was structured was they had like a little sidebar, and they were counting down to the next thing on the menu while they had like little builds going on and stuff. So they had like someone talking in the audience and stuff. So they had to talk about Anthem during one of those because I wasn't paying attention between the stuff while there was a countdown.
Yeah.
So they tried to brush that under the rug.
Yeah.
And the last note I have about the EA thing is that they got a lot of really excitable presenters. They had Greg Miller, who was very loud, and they got Julia Hardy, who is also very excitable and making a lot of jokes all the time. So they really try to make it seem like EA has a soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, like EA didn't excite me, but I have a question for Green, because he is a more avid Apex player. How are you feeling on the Apex updates that they announced here?
I am extremely stoked that they actually brought a better battle pass. Like they're actually listening to the people that are playing and dumping all this money into this game. So especially since it's a free to play game. So that's their bread and butter. That's how they're getting their money, is through the battle pass and through the packs and stuff like that. So I like the idea of the new legend. And they actually have a Wikipedia for all their legends. So each one of them has backstory.
Is hers already there?
Yeah. I don't know if hers is there yet, but there's been a lot of stuff online so far. She's actually the daughter of the creator of the arena.
Yeah, they mentioned that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone loves her was basically what the character is. Everyone.
The ultimate accelerants, she instantly gets her ultimate when she uses that. Yeah, that's interesting.
Wow. Okay.
I know they're dropping a new slot that was hinted at in the EA plays, which they're thinking it's like a bandolier or something. Not sure yet, but we'll see that. But the battle pass is going to take a lot of that extra little shit away.
Yeah.
Also, they showed up a really strong weapon that's like a supply drop weapon that can actually open doors.
Yeah, machine gun, light machine gun. That's gonna knock doors down and stuff like that. So it's definitely gonna change up the game, especially since a lot of it is it's a run and gun, an absolute third party game. You have to be the third party in every fight. So once you hear gunfire, you need to get there because
Yeah.
that's the way it's always been played. There's not a lot of strong defensive players. I mean, you have Gibraltar, but I mean, he is literally the size of a barn. So adding a more defensive player like Watson, I think
Mhm.
would be shaking up the meta of the game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah.
Along with the battle pass being, it's a weekly and daily challenges versus just XP based. So it's gonna
Yeah.
be like, if you're good at what you're doing, you're gonna burn through that. And you're gonna, it's actually gonna be steady progression.
Mhm.
If I were to give a school grade, I would give a D. By the
Yes,
way.
that's what I was actually going to ask. Just overall, what do you guys' give a rating for this one? Thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you want to give.
Some of the announcements were good, but it was such a boring presentation style. Even if they
Mhm.
tried their best to get the most excitable presenters that they could, it
Mhm.
didn't help too much.
Yeah.
They should have
Well,
just stuck with a regular presentation and just
Yeah.
not have Wilson on stage.
For me, the presentation was very lacking, but a few of the games were solid.
I don't know. Well,
minus the sport stuff.
From what I'm looking at, I mean, the big things I see is like Jedi Fallen Order. That's everybody, like most people that are really into Star Wars are gonna really like be excited for that, regardless, just to see what they pull out, because it is from Respawn. It's from the same people that made Apex Legends in the first place. So like people have been taking that as like the main thing of like, well, they did really good on the release of Apex, so hopefully they do really good on this part too. I'm thinking that Apex Legends, I'm sure a lot of people are gonna be really excited about that. But honestly, everything else looks not great. Like Madden and FIFA are their own specific communities that like they're very different than a lot of like most gamers out there, realistically. So like, while they're probably really excited about those, I could care less. Anthem, even from what I've seen of the recent Anthem update, I don't see any promise in it personally. They were trying to like really sell this new event, and it was supposed to be like thunderstorms and like everything's breaking apart and all that. And then when you actually see the actual gameplay they have of it, it's just a blue tint on the screen and some trees wave around a little bit. And that's it. And that's so disappointing. Sims, I'm not a big Sims guy, but I'm sure that like a lot of people are excited about that. I'm gonna have to agree with you. I would say that this is a big old D. If you're excited for Star Wars and Apex, sure. But everything else looks like junk, to be honest.
Star Wars was also part of the Microsoft conference.
Yeah.
Well, it's been so long since an actual person or was like an actual Jedi game.
Yeah.
So
And
that's where my
canon.
hype's from. Yeah. That's where I'm getting my hype from.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna try to move us along here.
Yep.
If that's okay. I don't mean to cut anyone short, but we got a lot. We're
yeah,
not
no,
even
by all
halfway through
means.
the list yet.
Yeah.
So next was Microsoft and Xbox.
Yeah.
This one was really interesting. Fan, do you want to do just like a quick overview? Just like a
I can. They pretty much did the same thing they did last year. They had a big fancy stage. They showed a game back to back, and then sometimes someone came out and talked about it, and then they just went back to trailers. There was not a lot of fluff in there. The pace was good.
Yes.
They had like really cool looking indie games in between the big releases. My favorite one of those was the one that they showed after Cyberpunk, which was one of the bigger ones. It was called Spiritfarer, and you were building like a little ship, and you were guiding like animal spirits into the afterlife in that, and it was looking gorgeous. I can't wait to play that one. And outside of the games, I'm sure we're gonna go through the big releases anyway. So let's just get the not game announcement out of the way that they showed off the Xbox Game Pass again, and the big announcement with that was that it's coming for PC now as well.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
I am so excited for that personally. My big issue with Xbox is that for the big amount of time, it has been falling so hard behind on terms of like the console wars between like Xbox and PlayStation. If I had to choose a console like every single time recently, it's been PlayStation exclusive, God of War, Detroit, Spider-Man, Bloodborne. Like they've had amazing amazing exclusives, and then seeing them like, I'm just really happy to see that Microsoft, the people that also own PC, are like trying to split between the two. That is my big excitement on that one. I want to be able to play Xbox games on my PC. That's a huge thing for me. But yeah, Master Chief Collection's gonna be on it. That's really exciting.
Oh yeah, that was a cool thing.
Yep, Halo Infinite when it gets released. I believe, I don't take me on that one for word, but I know Gears 5 is supposed to be on it. And some other big titles on it. Really excited about that. Like super stoked about that. And I think it's only like $1 for the first month, which is it's just pretty good. I don't have any issues with that at all. But yeah,
marketing was my immediate reaction to that.
Yeah.
So right now, so yeah, it's like $1 for the first month. While it's in beta, it's like $5, and then it's gonna be $10 after the beta, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's my big
So
thing
that was
on
Game
that.
Pass.
Yeah.
So that was Game Pass.
Yeah. He mentioned Gears. Let's go right into Gears, because that was the part where the stage just blew up and there was firework everywhere. They had like WWE superstars sitting on a laptop for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And then did nothing with them.
Right.
Just showed up a new game mode, which is basically a 3-player co-op mission of deploying a gas bomb and then getting out of there.
Yeah.
And they had a spooky little trailer for it where all kinds of spirits were breaking out of the female character, and then some cutscenes.
Yeah. I don't know. I think in terms of like the AAA titles that they announced, I mean, Halo Infinite, granted, Halo Infinite's not coming out this year, which is pretty disappointing. That's expected, obviously. Like that's not even remotely close to finish, but it feels bad no matter what. Gears 5, I think it looks okay. It's a Gears game, and the fact that it's going to be on the Game Pass, like I'll probably just get it from that alone, and I'll be happy about that. Cyberpunk, that's a huge announcement. That's absolutely like colossal.
About Cyberpunk, because that looks amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to wholeheartedly agree on that one.
Yeah, that trailer.
Yeah, I, as a person that didn't care in the slightest, like I've heard about it multiple times, and I've heard a lot of people were really excited about it. I didn't get the hype at all from the initial, like, from what I've seen in the past. But watching it now, it looked phenomenal. I was really stoked about it. Keanu Reeves showed up. I was happy about that one. That's a big thing. I can't mention it without that.
Everyone was losing their shit, and also Keanu Reeves himself was so excited to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It was amazing.
Oh, man. But yeah, I'm super stoked about that. I did not think I was going to be even remotely stoked about that, but I am big stoked on that. Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds got announced. That one's a pretty big one.
Short
that
last
a lot of
note
people have
on
been looking into that.
Cyberpunk. Short last note on Cyberpunk. The devs are amazing. There was one guy who was shouting "You're breathtaking" at Keanu Reeves, and he gets a free copy of the game now.
Collector's edition too.
Yeah.
Can I just say, Cyberpunk is like, to me, when I watch that trailer, I'm like, this looks like a really gritty, fucking badass, non-magical girl version of Alita Battle Angel. I'm like, if someone wanted an Alita Battle Angel game, this is gonna be really close to it.
Oh man, it looked really good. I was very impressed.
By the
Outer
way,
Worlds,
I didn't know Outer Worlds. Yeah, I was actually just gonna get to this.
They started with that
I
one.
had not looked at anything for Outer Worlds. I had like heard it in passing, but I didn't. When I was watching it, I'm like, this looks kind of like a Fallout. Like, Fallout 3 or and then it was Obsidian. It was Obsidian or whatever, and I'm like, oh, so I'm like, ooh.
I've seen a trailer for the Outer Worlds during the Game Awards, actually.
Yeah, that was initially when they showed it off. Yeah, a lot of people consider it as like the new Fallout from like the old days, if that makes sense, because like Fallout 4, Fallout 76, they're not in the same realm realistically. I'm really excited for it. Sounds cool. I don't have any issues with it. I know there's like some Epic game stuff. I'm not gonna get into that, but so far looks good. I'm not opposed to it. Bleeding Edge
came out. The guys from Ninja Theory came out,
Yeah.
showed off their multiplayer game Bleeding Edge. That looks nice.
Mhm.
The character designs they showed off, especially Buttercup, like amazing. I love Buttercup.
Yeah, I didn't get really super connected to that
Absolutely in
game
it.
personally. That one didn't like click on me, but it was a unique design for sure. I'll give it that. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Yeah, I'm
So
immediately
beautiful.
like, yeah. When you mention Ori in any passing to me, I'm gonna be happy because that game is so good. The initial like Ori and the Blind Forest is an amazing game. That is like a must play. I heavily
They showed off some
consider it.
boss battles from that.
Yes,
And
yeah.
the little spider that we saw in the very first Ori and the Will of the Wisp trailer was one of the boss fights. And
Yeah.
that thing looked amazing.
Yeah, I'm genuinely super happy about that. I'm sad that it's happening February of next year, which is really like upsetting to me personally because I feel it's been in development for a while. I kind of figured it was going to be out later this year. Kind of sucks that it's going to be out in February, but I mean, things happen. It's whatever. Minecraft Dungeons. Honestly,
It's literally
okay,
it's literally Minecraft Diablo.
That's
Yeah,
the weirdest
that's exactly
thing.
it.
It's like it sounds dumb when I say it. I actually looked at it and I was like, I could play this. I'm not entirely hating this. Like when you say it out loud, it's like that sounds stupid. That sounds stupid.
My
You're
first
dumb.
reaction to this was a facepalm, but
Yeah.
then as the trailer kept going, I was
Yeah.
like slowly getting so, ooh.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm probably not the best game in the world, but definitely not like it's not sellout garbage from what I saw.
It isn't, yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing that really actually shocked me about it. Blair Witch. So I personally really like horror games. So I'm stoked about this. It's from the same developers of Layers of Fear. It's from the same Layers of Fear like group. I'm
At
so
the very
excited.
least, the art direction is going to be great.
Yeah, it looks like a ton of fun. I'm really stoked for it. I'm 100% down for it.
Solid nope.
What was that, Green?
I'm a solid nope.
Oh. And then we start to get into like just a random indie game, Spirit Fair. That looked weird.
Spirit Fair looks so beautiful. Spirit Fair looks so beautiful.
I don't go to
going to play the
E3
shit
for
out of
indie
that.
games explicitly. Like if I see indie games somewhere else, then I'm much more open to it. But when I'm normally going into this, I'm normally expecting like big
We got some
game
gameplay
titles.
from the new Battletoads game.
That's true. That actually shocked me also, yeah.
So
they had like
quick.
a splash screen of that like for like 2 seconds last year, and then since then there was radio silence, and now we got gameplay. Good.
So
they fixed the scooter sections. Thank you. You can actually see what's in front of me.
Oh man.
So real quick.
Yeah.
Friend of the show, Ned on Air. Back in the day, he used to work at GameStop during the infamous 4chan raid. So immediately when I saw this Battletoads, I called him and he didn't answer, so I left him a voicemail. I'm just like, so I don't know who this Ned guy is, but I really hope this is GameStop, and I just really want the new Battletoads. Just like 3 minutes of me just being like, I just want Battletoads. I
just really want Battletoads.
Oh
man.
I want to kind of get away from the games real quick on Xbox. I want to talk about a couple of things that we saw. We've already talked about the Game Pass. I want to talk about the Xbox Elite Series controller, the version 2. Just some like quick little things on it. Adjustable thumbstick tensioners, shorter triggers, Bluetooth connectability, interchangeable thumbsticks. It can have up to 3 presets that you can configure for different games. New rubber wraparound grip, rechargeable with up to 40 hours of battery life, and it's going to MSRP for $180. Do you guys think it's worth the price tag?
I don't think it's worth $180 now. I didn't realize it was that amount.
Here's the thing though, they had a new controller like the Elite controller last year.
Yeah.
And I thought releasing another new controller this year was a bit overkill. I did not see the point.
So I actually do like a lot of the things that you did mention. Like, for example, joystick tensioners. That could be really handy for someone, at least in my regard, where I have a 360. I don't have an Xbox One. So if I want to still keep that 360 feel, I have that option there. Like, I have that ability. That's pretty cool. I feel like the different key bindings, essentially, that's what I'm going to call them, because I don't play console really anymore. The key bindings were
Close
neat.
enough.
Yeah, it's essentially the same thing. It was initially 2 on the last Elite controller. Now it's 3. I feel like that's not a big jump. I feel like if they were really gonna do a big jump, like maybe just have like, I don't know, some sort of more than 3, much more than 3. Personally, I feel like that's important. Yeah, I don't know. The charge time, the battery life was something that a lot of people I know were really excited about. It's like 40 hours uncharged, like 40 hours of just like raw usage, which is pretty good. I can't really argue that front. That's pretty solid, but $180 for a controller? I don't care how many features you're throwing out. I'm not buying a $180
Wasn't the last
controller.
one 150?
Oh man, I wouldn't have bought that one either. Say it.
Well, the thing with the Xbox was originally the controller that you had to have AA battery. You had to buy a separate battery pack if you wanted rechargeable.
Yeah.
And then my thing is, if you're gonna spend $180, just go to Scuff and buy a Scuff controller.
Exactly.
Spend $20 extra and get like top of the line Scuff.
Yeah. You could
'cause you'll have
easily
the extra
probably buy
buttons.
like a modded controller that's just like significantly better. I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. $180 is ridiculous. That's like that's half the cost of a console as a controller.
Yeah, you could be building a computer and getting your skills on a mouse and keypad or a keyboard for $180. I mean, that's a CPU right there, a good CPU.
Yeah.
Then the other question I had on this, because then we'll go on to Codename Scarlet. Do you guys think the Xbox One needed any of these upgrades or anything like that?
Any of the Scarlet upgrades? Is that what you're talking about specifically, or are you talking about
the wireless controller, the Elite controller?
Not particularly.
Do you guys think No.
If you're playing on a console, anyways, I mean, I can't justify spending that much on a controller.
Yeah, okay. I have to agree on that front. I don't know. I mean, like, they're cool. They're neat things. I can't really argue that. Like, having textures is pretty neat. Having, like, a control scheme, like, switches is pretty cool. But, like, $180 is far too ridiculous for anything of that sort. A controller is still a controller at the end of the day. Like, I'm not gonna pay that. So, yeah, no. I mean, it'd be neat. It'd be neat if that was just, like, a standard in, like, future controllers. It just seems like throwing an Elite tag on it and then making like $100 more than a basic controller is ridiculous.
Okay.
I couldn't justify putting $180 on a keyboard.
Yeah, exactly. That was my exact thought too. Like, if you're making me spend $180 on hardware, it better be really good hardware. Because I'm not spending it on controls. I can go, if I really need a keyboard, I'll go buy a $5 one. If I have to have one. There's no way. Absolutely no way.
Then I want to go on to Codename Scarlet. So this is the next Xbox console.
They needed to announce that because Sony already made like an announcement. Basically, they needed to do that.
Yeah, so this is going to be supposedly so powerful that it can offer up to 120 frames per second, up to 8K resolution. It's what is it going to support. Not saying that the games are going to be doing that right out the gate, but it's going to support up to 8K resolution. It's going to include a solid state drive, which is going to kill loading screens. It will still have an optical disc drive. It will have backwards compatibility with Xbox One controllers and accessories. So this new Elite series controller will be supported by this. I'm assuming probably all the other peripherals that you buy, like maybe the Kinect or whatever, will be supported by this.
Yeah.
When I saw this, I'm seeing a lot of future proofing. I'm seeing Microsoft like think really long game here and be like, we want this to last a while for people. And to me, it's almost like they with the Game Pass service, they really want to try to like lock people in for a while. Is what I'm seeing with this. Is that what you guys is that what you guys are seeing?
I mean, that's what consoles are.
I understand why they announced it. Like, I get that. But honestly, I feel like it's really overhyped. Like, I don't care particularly. I mean, like, think about it this way. This is the way I think about it personally. The Xbox One was already, like, touted as, like, the the console masterpiece in terms of like
Mm-hmm.
performance in comparison to the PlayStation 4. That doesn't realistically matter in the grand scheme of things. You better have like some fantastic exclusives in the console area. You notice, like, sure, they had an amazing like hardware, but I swear I have seen so many more PlayStation users recently than Xbox by a landslide.
Yeah.
That's
Why we
because
even
most
talked
of
about
the
before.
Xbox games are on PC also.
Well, like they're just not even that great. Even the exclusives that they announce, it's like State of Decay 2, okay, all right. And then that was
Super Lucky
like their
Player.
biggest announcement in terms of like the Xbox One realistically. I can't think of that many other things where they're all like, this is fantastic. And sure, they have Halo Infinite coming out. That's their launch title. Okay, yeah, cool. But that's one game. That's just one. I can't be like realistically that hyped for it yet. That's my
Yeah,
personal
it's
boat.
true. It's way too early to get like really hype on it. I agree.
Yeah. And
I think
I
the
don't know.
biggest thing is the price. Like,
Yeah.
because they're getting they have AMD building custom Zen 2 CPU for it, and they're running the Navi GPU.
Mhm.
But I mean, with the Zen 2 architecture CPUs that are coming out now for AMD, they're not really concerned about like the actual price or the
Right.
cost effectiveness versus the power.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting to see the difference between buying an Xbox One X versus actually picking up the new Scarlet when it comes out. And the deadline, a 2020 deadline, that's quick.
Yeah.
It's really quick.
And Tiff even just said something in chat, which actually is a really good point. She's saying that if they're charging $180 for a controller, where they got charged for the console, that's a big point. Yeah, because that is
At
not going to be
$300,
cheap. There's no
that is
way.
my guess.
I'm
expecting about the 450 mark, somewhere around there.
I can't justify buying a console for that amount of price personally. No. I can't.
Yeah.
So like seeing that is just kind of like whatever. I don't know. That's
I think to really future proof it, I feel like they should have an interchangeable GPU.
That would be good. That would be pretty big. Yeah, I have to agree on that front.
But that's the thing with
Basically
consoles, though, too. Yeah. The thing with consoles is it's not for a long life expectancy.
Yeah,
because it's max 6 to 10 years, and then out with the new, or out with the old and with the new.
Yeah,
I
think.
I mean it. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like they're actually trying to transition away from consoles. I feel like that's probably gonna be like one of their last consoles that they're gonna announce, and they're gonna try to focus much more into the PC side of things. I feel like the Xbox Pass PC is a big, like, that's their first starting step, but that's a pretty big starting step. You can't say the same thing realistically about like PlayStation at all. That's not really a thing, and like they're always going to have the better native support. It's Microsoft here we're talking about. They're definitely always going to have the better compatibility on that front. So I feel like if they split their resources and try to focus more into PC, they'll be much better off. I personally think that. So I think, yeah, this console's probably gonna be one of the last ones personally. Maybe not. I could be wrong. I feel like personally they should just concede on the console market. Coming soon. Because like really PlayStation has been knocking it out of the park for a while. Like for a long while. I would just say scrap it at some point, not necessarily now, obviously, but like scrap it and then move towards PC.
Pack it in, boys.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
So real quick, let's just do like a thumbs up or a thumbs down on the Microsoft.
I wanted to move on because I have like quick little mentions on a couple of other games they showed.
Oh yeah, go on ahead real quick.
Yeah, so they showed off Microsoft Flight Simulator, which everyone in Germany lost their shit over because the Germans love their simulation games. It looks beautiful, I will admit, but the amount of people that lost their shit over this in here was I couldn't keep up. And then they showed Age of Empires 2 remake, and then I lost my shit. So who am I to blame?
That's a really good one.
Wasteland 3 looks fine. Speaking of fine, they announced that they're buying Double Fine, which was coupled with Tim Schafer on stage and showing off some Psychonauts 2, which was great. Then there was some Dragon Ball stuff, which I know some people that will be stoked about that, but my issue is that Dragon Ball games are pretty much the same story all the time. So it's hard for me to muster up some real hype for that one. Way of the Woods was the other really beautiful indie game, which was with the two deer that were walking through stuff, and they were apparently magical. I had no idea what the fuck was going on in the trailer, but the game looked beautiful. Then came the whole Gears of War stuff, which we pretty much already covered. Dying Light, they showed some stuff in there. There was not too much new stuff that they announced with it, but they showed off some cool parkouring in there, which you would expect. Then came the big fucking Lego car with the little Lego expansion with Forza Horizon 4, which really got me.
Yeah, to be honest, I actually thought that actually got me a little excited for Forza. As somebody that doesn't care about Forza, watching the actual like in-game footage of it looked pretty cool. I wasn't opposed. But yeah, that's my little 2 cents on that one.
Yeah, then they had like State of Decay 2, which
Yeah.
Bandai Namco showed like the new Tales game, Tales of Arise, where a guy drew a sword out of some girl's flaming boobs. That was literally all I can remember on that. And then they showed Elden Ring, which the internet
Ring
lost
looked
shit
really
about.
good as well. Yeah. Elden
That's
Ring
the
looked
George
really
R.R.
good.
Martin
From Software and George
game.
R.R. Martin, which is the same makers of like the Dark Souls series. I'm really happy. I'm always gonna be really happy when From Software announces a new game. That's just where I'm at.
That was the last of my notes for this.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
So overall, I gave a B.
In general, I think it was good. I don't have any issues with it. There was some issues, console, controller, stuff like that. But like that's hardware. In terms of games, I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah.
GreenElite, what are you feeling on the Microsoft?
I was pretty solid with like a lot of the stuff that they announced. Again, I've never been an Xbox person. I started off on the original Xbox.
Yeah.
But I really lost interest when I went through 5 Xbox 360s of the Red Ring.
I know that feeling too well.
So that's when I switched to the PS3. Yeah.
But last.
So I mean the games themselves that they were showcasing, I love that they're gonna have, especially with you have Steampunk 2077 looks absolutely phenomenal. And I honestly, from this point going forward, watching that, if you put Keanu Reeves in anything, that shit will sell.
Yeah, you basically just Norman Reedus Cyberpunk. That's essentially what just happened.
Keanu Reeves is the new Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
Oh, so he really is.
I'm gonna give Microsoft a tacit thumbs up.
I have to as well. I mean, a lot of the stuff felt like a cash grab, but other than that, like the games were solid.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree on that one.
So next chronologically is Bethesda.
Let me kind of format they have their work cut out for them.
So, Fan, if you can go through like just like the general game announcements.
Yes.
Real quick, and then we can get into the 2 things I want to talk about with Bethesda, because we could sit here and shit on Bethesda for a while. So let's just go through the game announcements. I want to talk about Orion, and I want to talk about Fallout 76 specifically, and then we can move on from there. So let's get the game announcements.
So what the very first thing they did was get all of the Fallout 76 stuff out of the way really quickly. So I just had the feeling that they want to get that over and done with, and then start the conference proper. Which, they kind of laughed about the bad PR they had, which I don't think was the right approach. But at the very least, they addressed it right away, which was the right thing to do, realistically.
Yeah.
Then Fallout 76 specifically, they really celebrated themselves for the fact they put NPCs in the game, and somehow they got applause for it. And also they put a Battle Royale mode in the game.
Hype. What was that?
They put a Battle Royale mode in the game. Which,
we'll get, we'll get.
Then Elder Scrolls Blades gets a Switch release. That was pretty much the whole Fallout thing, aside from them announcing that it's gonna have like a free week or something. Then Shinji Mikami came out, announced Ghostwire Tokyo, and then the cutest Japanese girl I've ever seen, like, gave us a trip through the story, and she was great, and I won't accept any other opinions on that. She was fantastic. The most memeable thing of this for sure. And then ESO pretty much just announced that they have dragons, and they repeated that a couple of times. We have dragons. We have dragons. The trailer they had for that was pretty cool, but the Dragonhold DLC is the name of it. And then also the card game got like an update. which presumably just new cards and also dragons. They showed off a little smartphone game called Commander Keen, which looked cute. For my cousin who was watching all of it with me, that was the best thing of the entire conference. I'm not even kidding. So I'm not really sold on it, but I'm also not a mobile gamer. So Rage 2 gets an update as well, which also brings cheat codes, which I wasn't aware is still something that's worth marketing about. Wolfenstein had some updates on the VR game that they announced last year, and also Youngblood, which was also announced last year, which they showed some gameplay for. And the gameplay looks actually pretty good. I'm still a bit peeved that the gun models are still as big as they are. Then they had just some general announcement on how they... they kept showing some Bethesda fans that were talking about their own stories with Bethesda. Those felt like time wasters to me. They were not necessary and didn't tell me anything at all. Then came Orion, which you wanted to talk about specifically, so I'm going to move on from there. And then there came the big Doom Eternal part, which they ended with. And Doom Eternal had by far the most gameplay out of everything they've shown. The gameplay looked great. The soundtrack is by Mick Gordon again, which I could tell, and I'm hyped for that. And that left me on such a happy note that my immediate response to the entire conference was giving them a B- before I realized that I was mostly talking about Doom and Ghostwire. So I corrected that to a C.
Yeah.
That's
the rundown of all the announcements.
Cool. So let's start with 76, right? New game mode, a bunch of, NPCs and stuff like that you can actually interact with, and there's going to be a story. And I wanted to target a question at Ren.
Yeah.
Because does this update make you want to go play Fallout 76?
If anything, it makes me angry because the way that they described it, they made it sound like it was all part of their master plan. That was the way that they tried to talk about it. Was like, for year 1, there was no NPCs. And then year 2, they're coming back. And realistically, it's like, no, everybody got mad at you. And then you had to throw in something.
Yes,
and
so
then
much yes.
The other thing, because I'm going to try to keep it fast, because I know we're running out of time here. But the other thing is like, the NPCs, I don't expect them to be good. If they have to rush them out like this in the first place, at best, they're going to be Fallout 4 NPCs, which still suck.
Yeah.
Like, those aren't good. The way that they did their dialogue in that, it was very, like, choices matter, but not really. Nothing really matters. You can just talk shit at one person, and he'll still do whatever the fuck you need him to do. So, yeah, I'm very turned off from it, personally. And then when they threw out a BR into the mix, so the way they initially described it was a game with like people that are amazing, a wonderful community, which in a sense is correct because they're really nice people because they want people to stay in the game. But when you introduce a BR, you're introducing competitivity, which is going to immediately turn that happy crowd of sunshine and rainbows into absolute assholes. That's just how it goes. Like, there's no way around it. So I don't know why they mentioned that. That seemed like the stupidest thing of all time. That's my little, that's that on that. Keeping it short, I could go on for like a year.
I'm sorry, Green, did you play any 76 or?
I didn't. I had a few friends that were extremely hyped about it, and I'm like, I should maybe get it. And then once they played it for about 2 days, and the insane amount of shit they were talking about the game, I'm like, nope. I'm not spending the money for that.
Does this get you interested in buying the game at all?
I feel as though it is an insane cash grab.
I
agree. Shut up and give me your money.
Yeah.
When they introduced the battle royale, so that is going to be a solid no for me.
I agree.
I'm willing to try I'm on PC, so I'm willing to try. They said they're going to do a free trial offer. So I might try it out and see what's going on with it.
The free trial is until the 17th.
Yeah.
Just for next month.
And for people's reference, this is on the 11th. Just real quick, I'm cool if we do like an extra long podcast.
I'm fine
we
with
should
it.
because we have so many stuff left to talk.
I kind of feel bad because there's a lot of stuff I really want to dive deep into, but like I also don't want to just like rush it.
Yeah,
I am home alone.
The
Oh
only
my
person I
God.
was worried about was Fan because he's in Germany.
Yeah.
Dude, I have like a 7-hour not podcast, but a 7-hour stream yesterday, and then 40 minutes of break, then another 2-hour stream. Then I went to sleep, got up, prepared to stream for Nintendo, and then did EA afterwards. I'm good.
Yeah.
I have like
Cool.
6 energy drinks. I had 6 energy drinks about in the last 2 days.
His real
Oh,
name is
man.
Kyle.
Okay, so before we get into Orion, actually, I want to talk about this Doom thing.
Yes, that's a
Um,
big announcement. That is
Mhm.
huge.
So the pricing
Uh-huh.
or the whole like collector's edition, just real quick,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
did they not learn their lesson?
Nope.
Like, did Bethesda be like, we're gonna offer as a part of this collector's edition this, what we're marketing as a high, high dollar item,
Yeah.
fucking helmet. I'm like, you offered a canvas bag, and
We're
then
already at next E3 and people still haven't gotten the canvas back.
yeah, and people still haven't gotten like their fucking canvas bag that you promised them. Why are you promising something like this?
Yeah.
Why are you promising a helmet? Because people are gonna think it's gonna be like a fucking like bicycle or like a not bicycle, but a motorbike helmet that's gonna be really nice and sturdy and
Mhm.
might actually withstand a blow to the head. But we all know it's gonna be some sort of cheap flimsy mask that they're gonna
Oh,
put
yeah.
together out of fucking paper mache.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like that. To me, I'm instantly like, did you not learn your lesson? And people were snarking them on Twitter,
Yeah.
like very fairly. I'm like, yeah, Bethesda, you gotta watch the shit.
Mhm.
As much as I'm hyped about Doom, and believe me, I was very hyped about Doom, I'm not even thinking about getting the collector's edition.
Yeah. I
No.
honestly, that
No.
like completely blew past me when it got mentioned. I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't care. Show me more gameplay. That was it. I gotta give props though. Like, so for most of like the entire Bethesda conference, it was like 5-minute announcements, 5-minute random garbage pandering talking. I really got into detail on that yesterday. I got so livid about that. But with Doom, it was like 20 minutes of just Doom gameplay. I have to give them massive props for that. Like,
I love that
huge
they ended
props.
on that. That was perfect.
Yeah, that was the only thing that actually like did anything for me in terms of the Bethesda conference. Everything else was just whatever. I didn't care. I don't think there was realistically any actual gameplay shown for the entire conference except for Doom. Like not even the new game announcements. It was all cinematics. So
Yeah,
like
Ghostwire Tokyo still intrigued me though, because I love mysteries, and
Yeah.
this mystery plot seems really cool to me.
Mhm.
Plus, the Japanese lady whose name I actually wrote down, Ikumi Nakamura. I followed her on Twitter.
She is the, if people start getting like kind of like angry when they see Todd Howard's face,
Mhm.
they just need to start bringing her out more often.
Yo, replace Todd Howard. Get him out of here.
About Todd Howard, this time last year, I was of the opinion that Todd Howard is like the biggest asset that they have in terms of presenting, because he's a great presenter.
Mhm.
But because of every line he said being like paired up against what the games actually ended up being, he lost so much credibility and value over the year. I can't even believe how drastically his stock has fallen, even in my personal eyes.
Mhm.
It was really heartbreaking, actually, to think about.
Yeah.
So the next thing I wanted to talk about in terms of Bethesda was Orion.
Yeah.
Now this is like a part of the whole video game streaming. This is specifically designed by the id Software folks. And so it's game streaming technologies designed to optimize game streaming. By focusing and optimizing game engines themselves for performance in a cloud environment, as opposed unquote, as opposed to the hardware side of things. So if we think of Google Stadia, it's like, how do we build this mega computer that a lot of people can get access to and do this? This seems to be like, what if we just make the games better to stream?
Yeah. What if we just didn't release garbage?
That's a good
Well, so
question.
this was
EA, what do you think about that?
Hey, everyone's jumping on that horse, though.
I'm
Like,
gonna have to on
everyone
that one.
is.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, Microsoft even has the xCloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They announced
I
that in their presentation too.
Cloud
feel-
gaming, to be fair, has been a topic for a couple of years now. It's not
Yeah.
a new thing. Just
Yeah,
that
well,
like,
now
the
they
biggest
have
issue-
been working on it for so much that now they are ready to announce it, and it just happened to be all at once.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but it's just for me, it's like everyone's on that horse.
I
They're ready. It's like who can drop it first, who can make the most money first.
I'm gonna have to completely agree with you. And honestly, like, the fact still stands. It's still really, like, not gonna be that great. Like, sure, you're dealing with bandwidth issues, right? So, like, you don't need the best internet in the world, but you're still going to struggle on that latency. No matter what you do, latency will always be an issue. That's just, like,
Yes.
a core thing of that structure in the first place. So, I don't know. I'm very... I didn't care when they mentioned it. I was like, okay, whatever. All right.
Especially with
Mhm.
someone who mains first-person shooters, like even going from a regular HD TV to a gaming monitor is a
Mhm.
huge difference.
Yeah.
So taking that from an internet perspective,
Yes.
when you're playing with multiple people and you're fighting against multiple people, it's not going to connect in the
Yeah.
way that people are thinking. It's going to be like, oh, I can spend this $10 a week, I can play these games, and it'll be just like I have a $3,000 computer build or
Yeah.
2 Xboxes, a PlayStation. Like it's not going to be the same. It's
Yeah.
you're single player games. They're going to be great. They're going to be
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
But I mean, when you're going up against like people with the owning the game, and having that physical copy and playing it on their own console, you're gonna get smoked. Just because they have that connection and that speed, they
Mhm.
don't have to worry about a third party getting that set up for them. They have
Yeah.
it all ready to go, and their own system is doing that for them.
Yeah.
So it makes a huge difference. A lot of people don't realize it, but I mean, the hardcore people do that
Yeah.
know what they're doing and have built their stuff. They know what's up.
Yeah. Yeah. And like that, the 180 is base latency. That's not
That's
including multiplayer latency. That's not including connecting to game servers. Like, if say it doesn't even matter at that point what the game server latency is, you're still going to struggle. 180 latency is just at the cusp where you really start to notice it. Like, you really feel it in a lot of titles. So like,
Yeah.
anything past that's a big deal. That's a huge issue. So yeah, I don't know. If in my eyes, if game streaming was really going to cut it, it would have to be just below 100. Just below it. And even at that point, that's really unrealistic to acquire anytime soon. That I really doubt that one. But yeah, that's just kind of my stance on it. I don't know.
Latency issues are gonna get prominent because everyone is pushing for better graphics at the moment. So you can't have both. You can either focus on cooler art styles but less fidelity, then you're gonna get less latency, or you push the graphics all the time, then you're gonna have latency issues.
Well, like,
That's
so the
just how
key
it is.
issue is, like, it's not even necessarily from the developers. Like, there's not really anything Stadia can realistically do about that. It's whatever, like, their internet connection is. You have to have fiber, like, everywhere in order to really seriously acquire any decent connection for that sort of thing. If you live in a fiber area, you might be fine. You might be golden.
But then you also have to have the fiber too.
Exactly. That's the issue. It's a
You have
huge
to,
issue like that. Yeah.
because a lot of people, if they don't want to spend the money to build the PCs or buy the new gen consoles and stuff like that, they're probably not going to want to drop $100 a month on 1 gigabit fiber optic internet. I'm not even on fiber internet, and like I'm not spending $120 just for internet.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, it's not happening. I
mean,
completely agree.
realistically, I don't need that much. I mean, 300 megs down is fine, and as long as I have a good upload speed for gaming and streaming, I don't need that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be forced to need that either.
I just noticed that I skipped a node mainly because the node just read Deathloop, and that was another game they showed, but they didn't show any gameplay of it. They should just they just showed a little thing about it, and I thought the concept was cool, so I thought I'd throw that in before we go over to the next one.
Yeah. The next one being Devolver.
Oh my god, they were so great.
Devolver, regardless, honestly. So the way I always see Devolver conferences, it's not even really about the games. It's just about having an entertaining conference to begin with. That is like their sole component. And then like people will look at Devolver and be like, they're pretty awesome. I might as well buy their games.
Exactly.
So
and since last year they have a storyline.
Yeah, I gotta give it credit to them on that one. While they don't necessarily do a good job presenting their games, not saying their games are bad, they just don't really focus on it in terms of like actual conferences.
The fact that the Devolver conferences usually are, I'm gonna say that now because this year's conference was a bit different. But normally what they do is like they have like a fake stage and they have like the same audience footage getting looped all the time, and it's like very obviously fake. And then they have Nina Strathers, who is played by Maria Zook, who I also follow on Twitter because she's amazing. She is just like cursing all the time and killing people, and it's really awesome. And this year, what they did is that because last time Nina Strathers died, and now they had to present it in her mind, so they made like a Devolver Direct, and they spoofed on Nintendo Direct, and they censored Nina all the time, but she was still like ripping some guy's throat out and stuff. So it was not really censored, but she couldn't swear. That was great.
Man.
In terms of the games, I'm just going to rush through that. The first thing they showed was Fall Guys, which is basically Takeshi's Castle, but with little bean guys and one winner at the end. That one looked fun. It was, it was fine. Then they announced Devolver Digital Bootleg, which is basically a thing that you could buy on Steam, which is a little it's a little compilation of like them ripping off their own games and selling that back to you. It's something so insane that only the think of. It's on sale right now with a 1% discount if you're interested.
The savings.
God, they're cheeky. That's great.
Then they presented Carrion, which is basically you're playing a tentacle monster that kills people and gets bigger over time. It kind of reminds me of a couple of Edmund McMillan ideas thrown together. The level design reminded me a bit of like Meat Boy, the way that you jump over walls and stuff. And then also the tentacle thing is like, I think Triagnete is the name of the other game that he had where you play the spider and you control the limbs. And also the way the controls looked like, it reminded me of Gish. So it's like a mashup of 3 Edmund McMillan games, but with a space alien setting. And that was like the best thing they've shown, I think.
Yeah.
Then they announced an arcade game for 2020.
Yeah, that one caught me off guard. Yeah.
It was like, it's a spoof of Enter the Gungeon, the House of the Gundead. And it's an honest-to-God arcade game shooter.
Yeah, it's an actual arcade
actually ship
system.
Cabinets to actual places.
Oh man,
nice.
It's only $5,000. That's not bad, definitely.
For an arcade cabinet, yeah.
Yeah.
Then they showed like a pixely side-scroller ninja game called The Messenger Picnic Panic. Then they had like a little trailer for a game that they showed last year, My Friend Pedro, which still looks amazing. And then that was pretty much everything they announced, just like a couple of small games. I didn't grade this because I never grade Devolver. I don't know how I would grade them.
Yeah. A lot of the titles that they do show are actually
on a little Terminator note.
A lot of the titles that they did show, Carrion, it looks decent. Like I don't really have any issues with it. Enter the Gungeon is a meme. I'm gonna be dead honest with you. The game, the initial game, Enter the Gungeon, is really good. Heavily recommend. I'm not gonna recommend an arcade cabinet for $5,000. You can't make me.
I'm sure that they will port it to PC eventually.
The Messenger does actually. I've heard of it before, and it does look really good. It's very Ninja Gaiden-esque. Looks really, really dope. I have to give it credit on that one. And My Friend Pedro, I actually saw it on Steam before the conference started, and I didn't realize, like, it didn't make the connection at all. I just saw it, and I was like, why is... So, the main screen of My Friend Pedro is like a banana with a face, and that immediately caught my attention because I was like, "What is happening with this game? What is
That
going
banana was
on?"
also in the trailer talking to you.
Yeah, and I watched the trailer that they had on that, and I actually thought it looked really good. It looked like a pretty solid game. It looks like an indie game, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. I thought it was decent enough. But yeah, I don't know. It was solid. I'd give it a thumbs up on that one, to be honest.
Cool. Thumbs up from you, Green. Did you watch it at all, or?
I thought it was a solid presentation, and the games look good. I'm like on the fence with it because with my whole issue with E3 is it's been moving away from the trade show aspect, and it's been really solidly marked as pushing for marketing.
Yeah.
So like that part of the whole thing was like, I hated that it was like really pushed towards marketing. However, the way they did it actually made me enjoy it. Even though like I probably wouldn't get these games.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed what they were doing versus like the blatant obvious marketing schemes like with Microsoft's controller and Bethesda, everything Bethesda. But I mean, because with it, it's just they're supposed to be showing what's new and innovated, so it peaks. It's not open up your wallet. So on the fence. I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah.
But still on the fence with it.
Yeah.
Cool. So that was Devolver.
Yeah.
Do you have any opinions on this one, Danny?
I don't. I watched a little bit of it.
Oh, that's right. You did. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, well, because Devolver started right when I got back to this new apartment. And like I turned it on for a little bit. I'm like, I can't pay attention to this because I'm still unpacking.
Yeah.
Like so like a little cost saving tip for everyone out there. If you're getting ready to move out and like start living out on your own, like ask like for gifts, ask for, useful things like kitchen supplies. But you know what comes at a cost for that? When you finally get to open up all that stuff that you've been waiting to open up for 2 years, you got to throw it all in the dishwasher and unpack it, and it all comes in plastic and paper, and so you're ripping off all that stuff. So next I have chronologically here the PC gaming.
Oh my god, was that a bag and a half?
Yeah,
I heard this was really cringe.
Yeah, this is a very close second in my eyes to Bethesda in terms of the worst one. Bethesda did a bad job in like every shape and form. Like by far, literally the good stuff wasn't even like the best ever. But PC that conference was not good. I tried to watch it. I almost fell asleep watching it. I was like, this is one was bad. One was raw bad. This one was just straight up boring.
The thing with PC gaming, they have this every year. Well, first off, when they started off, that was literally a talk show. And they moved away from that to a normal presentation last year, where they also had the same setup as this time, where you have Day 9 and you have Frankie Ward, who is the meme queen of this whole thing. I mean, she is a great presenter normally. I don't know why she hams it up so much on E3.
Yeah.
But, it's just her. She had a shark costume on at one point. It was... But they basically snowball back and forth. They invite indie devs on to talk about their game, and because of that, they sometimes overrun. They didn't this year. And also, the rest of the time, they're just back-to-back short trailers. Sometimes some little indie game trailer is just shoved between two segments and no one talks about it, and it gets lost in the shuffle. Because also, they have so many games in there.
Yeah.
It's tiresome after a while. They had like 2 hours of time or something.
They had a huge amount of time, yeah. It did not make any sense. I thought they should have like nailed it down. It seemed like a conference that should have lasted an hour. And then they were just like, let's just throw out a bunch of random stuff. Just because. And I'm gonna be honest, that lady kills it for me every year. I swear. Because like every time it's just like the cringiest thing that she'll say. Like there was this vampire game that was announced, and then she just started talking about vampire puberty out of nowhere, like just out of the blue, and it was like, what is happening at this conference? What is going on? I couldn't deal with it. I don't know. There was one game that looked okay. There was like a shark game that looked
Man-Eater. They presented that one last year as well.
Yeah.
That was the
yeah.
one where she had the shark costume on, actually.
Yes. Yeah. I tried my best to just like not look at her and just focus on anything else.
But like I say, I follow her other stuff. She's usually really professional and really cool. I don't know why she is going in this direction on E3. I don't know why that is.
I don't know either. It feels like if Devolver really just didn't know how to be Devolver in the slightest. Just like, no,
Devolver had a
everybody
2-hour
loves cringe.
presentation.
What do you mean?
Devolver
I'll
had
just be
a
really
2-hour
cringy on stage on
presentation
purpose.
Without like actors and without a script, and they were just put on stage talking about everything that Devolver publishes. That's
Free
what
reigns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was not.
The big thing this year with PC gaming was how many of the games announced in here, more so than any other conference, will be Epic Store exclusive. That was a big thing. And the very first thing I noticed was that Epic was actually a sponsor of this year's gaming show. So I was immediately like red flags going off all over.
Yeah.
And to be fair, while it did crop up every now and again, most of the time they tried to lowball it. Like either they didn't talk about it at all, or they didn't like hint at it or anything. You could just see the Epic logo in the bottom corner or something, and not the Steam logo. And it was your hint. Sometimes they just said it's gonna come to the Epic Store, and they didn't really dwell on that at all. So they really lowballed it because I guess they had like that was what Epic wanted. Them not really drawing attention to it too much. The biggest one of the Epic Store exclusive one, I don't want to go chronologically to all the games because there's way too much.
Yeah.
But the biggest Epic Store exclusive one and the biggest game they had there was Shenmue 3. And that caused a shitstorm. Like
Yeah. There's another issue that I do have with it too. So you mentioned Shenmue 3 as like the biggest one announced. Borderlands 3 was also announced there for like about not even a minute. It was quite literally like I didn't even know they were talking about Borderlands 3 for a while. They had the people on the stage not showing Borderlands anything in the background or anything. And then they were just all like, yeah, there's this and this and this. And they didn't even mention what game it was. And I was like, I don't know what's happening. And then just out of nowhere, it was Borderlands 3 for 30 seconds. And then they left. And it was like,
yeah, I mean,
what?
I did notice that it was Borderlands because they used like a trailer snippets that we've already seen for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if they like, I think a lot of people wouldn't have guessed it was Borderlands 3 if they didn't show it at the end.
Yeah, they did a really horrible job like talking about that one.
They were just covering their face like, oh, Borderlands.
Yeah.
Don't yell at us, please. Please.
We don't want to bring out. We don't want to bring out. Who's the CEO of Gearbox that everyone just?
Oh, I
Randy Pitchford.
Yes, that's the same.
Please don't ask us for Randy. Please don't ask us for Randy.
We're gonna talk about Randy later because he was part of another conference.
I couldn't believe that they didn't show him really like at all. They didn't show like anything in terms of like Borderlands 3 though. That really caught me by surprise. Like it's PC gaming. And it's brought to you by Epic. That's like their one giant ass title is Borderlands 3. And they're all like, no, 30 seconds, that's fine. Let's move on. Couldn't.
I think the biggest thing that it did for me, like watching the clips and stuff, was like, did you all used to watch G4? The G4 channel?
Yeah.
It made me miss Attack of the Show.
Yes, I agree.
Because they used to cover E3 so well. And like actually bring out the aspect of like what's being showed and stuff like that. And then it's like they're trying to recreate that with this bit, and it just does not work.
Yeah.
Plus on top of that, Sarah's Underwood.
So going through the notes that I had on this, it wasn't like I didn't make a note on everything. Like there were multiple vampire games, there were multiple games where you build something on Mars. I didn't make a note on everything.
Yeah.
The first note I had is Evil Genius 2, which looks fun. Then they had Chivalry 2, which is also an Epic Store exclusive.
Yeah, that one was a big one. That a lot of people were pretty excited about that one. I didn't play Chivalry. I didn't play the initial one. That was yes. You're already thinking of the right game if that's what you're wondering. Yeah, yeah, Danny.
The Wizards game that never came out.
I
No,
believe no.
it's the Knights game.
Yeah, it's a
It's a
Knights game.
multiplayer
No.
versus
What
Knight
I'm
game.
what I'm saying is that there was a game that developer was also supposed to be putting out that was
Oh, I
basically
believe so.
chivalry,
Yes.
but as wizards.
Yes.
But
Oh,
then I
that's
pretty
what.
sure.
Okay. Okay.
I will have to look that up at some point. But okay, Chivalry 2.
Yeah, then they spent a lot of time on this one actually. Midnight Ghost Hunt, which is a multiplayer, like you have a group of players that play like ghost hunters, and then you have other players that play ghosts. It's basically prop hunt, but with like a lot of extra mechanics on top of it. That
Okay.
one looks fun. I'm not a big multiplayer person, but I would try that.
That sounds like a
Then-
good salt-inducing one for friends.
Mhm. Then they showed a trailer for a game named Mosaic,
Mhm.
which is a very gray game with a beautiful art style, but they didn't talk about it at all. It was just sandwiched between other stuff.
Yeah.
Right after that, like this was between Ghost Hunt and Chivalry, so
Yeah.
then there was a game called Unexplored 2, which also looked pretty cool. That had like really cool creature design and everything. They had a curved monitor. I literally just wrote curved monitor. I have no idea why I even wrote that down. I didn't care. They had a Conan RTS, where
Yeah.
my note literally says, "What's with all those Conan games coming out recently?" But I would try that one. Also, they announced Conan Chop Chop, which was an April Fool's joke that they actually made into a real game. It's basically Don't Starve, but with Conan and little stick figures.
All right.
Age of Wonders Planetfall is the new Paradox strategy game, which is batshit insane. It has like it's basically Civ, but the factions you can play are either alien zombies, dinosaur mutants, or Big
Oh,
Macs.
yeah. Is this the one that showed penguins?
I'm pretty sure that is.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah.
Sniper
like a
Elite
cluster.
4 was just I didn't like the trailer of that. It was then I made a jump to Planet Zoo, which is by the Planet Coaster people.
I know a lot of people were really excited about that one. I looked at it and I didn't care, but I talked to a few people and a few people were actually really stoked about that.
It
So,
looks good for a zoo game if that's what you're into. It's by the it's by the Planet Coaster games who made the better Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine this being bad, but it's very niche.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Then was the Shenmue 3 thing, which we talked about. Let me see. The Ancestor was this little way you play apes, and you kind of go through a thing that was also, I think, Epic Store exclusive. I didn't make a note on it, but I think it was part of the Epic like game reel that they showed.
Yeah.
Then was this little Borderlands 3 thing. Then came Maneater, which is the game where you play the shark and you eat everything and you get bigger and more strong. And that one looks fun as hell.
Yeah.
New game by the Her Story guys called Telling Lies. Now you have multiple people whose conversations you can look into, and it's looking cool. I still have to play Her Story, but I own it, so I'm going to do that pretty soon, I think.
Yeah.
El
It's
Hio
definitely-
is a... Yep, sorry.
I was gonna say that's definitely actually so the Her Story game is actually a really unique take. So essentially the way it is for people that don't know, it's not necessarily even really a game. What you're doing is you're watching multiple videos and you're trying to figure out the story about that particular person, what
Yes.
happened to them, and things like that. It's in the same exact kind of realm as that. Definitely unique, not for everybody, but like if that's the kind of thing you're into, this will definitely 100% be up your alley for sure. I really doubt otherwise. But yeah, that's an important note because that game, not a lot of people know about the Her Story games and things like that. But yeah, they're always interesting at the minimum. Yeah, you can always
my next note is more Warframe stuff, which they have every year. Then a little stealth game with a comic look that's called El Hio. That one looks cute. It reminded me a bit of the stealth levels in Wind Waker, but in a desert setting. Baldur's Gate 3.
Ever gonna die.
Baldur's Gate 3 is a big announcement. That one's huge.
Yeah.
That one's absolutely massive. Yeah.
And they made a big deal out of it as well. They spent a lot of time on this. My notes are very sparse because I know what to expect from a Baldur's Gate game.
Yeah.
But I am looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
And that's the end of my notes, actually.
Yeah, for those who don't know, the people that made Baldur's Gate are also the people that made Divinity, Original Sin. So chances are, if you're going to like that one, you're probably going to love Baldur's Gate. I really doubt otherwise. I'm stoked for it, and I don't even play Baldur's Gate.
Overall, I was thinking of giving them a C+. mainly because I love the indie games they showed. If you're not into indie games, you would probably give them a lower grade, but that would put them below Bethesda.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion.
Ren?
I didn't think it was that great. I think the only like real announcements that mattered was I didn't even really care about Shenmue because it didn't look like graphically appealing. It looked like it was still like it didn't look like a current gen title. Baldur's Gate, big announcement. I was so shocked that they just like completely bypassed Borderlands. They talked about it for 30 seconds, then moved on, and then like they gave the same amount of time slots as like every indie game to Borderlands, which didn't make sense to me in the slightest. So yeah, I mean, as a conference, like actually as an entertaining conference, I give it like 0. Like at least with Bethesda's, it was while it was bad, they didn't like totally botch the conference itself. But in terms of games, it's like just barely above. Barely above Bethesda. Yeah. That's my vote on that one.
Okay. Green?
I would say I'm indifferent on it.
Okay.
Especially when it's like backed up by Epic. Like a lot of Epic push. It's just that I'm just keep my hands lead.
Yeah, you want to get the taste of Epic out of your mouth.
Keep it clean. Just gotta keep it clean.
The next one, fan, it's limited run? Is that right?
Yes. I think I'm the only one who actually seen it out of all of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
So let me just give a backdrop. I mean, we don't have to run through the games too much because all they do is they take games that are only digital released or really, really old, and they give them a new physical release on different systems. That's their niche. So the presentation is basically, for me, it's just reminding myself what games are out there.
Yeah.
But their presentation style is very unique because basically they do this digital stage thing, but they take it literally. It's literally a flat shaded stage with fake audience, as in they are just cut out pictures of people, and they're actually like cut out and stuff.
Yeah.
And even the people that are on stage are cut out and flat. Last year they were a bit more flat, and they did a bit more with the digital stage in and on itself. So I would say last year's presentation was a little bit better. But yeah, they did the same thing again, and the running gag is basically that because the audience is literally just cut out of pictures, they also put in like a single person who is then in a seat, and then you have like one guy clapping and like woo, and that's just. It's a funny thing to watch, but it's also a 40-minute presentation, so the joke is gonna get old if you're not interested in like actually what they have to say. So most of the stuff that they announce is not really important. I think the stuff that is important to mention is they announced their last lineup for Vita releases before they're gonna not do anything for Vita again because the Vita's dead.
Yeah.
So the stuff that they are gonna bring out for Vita is Atari Flashback Classics, 2 Damascus Gear Operation titles, Osaka and Tokyo, Deadbolt, Guacamelee, Metal Slug 3, Papers, Please, which is the biggest one out of those, I think. Pix the Cat. Yeah. Revenant Dogma, Rocket Birds, and Rocket Birds 2. And I believe that's it for Vita. No, they have also Tales from Space Mutant Bloods Attack. They have a few Switch releases, mainly Turok 1 and 2. And the biggest one for Switch that they had was the little I didn't write down the name of the game. I just noticed, but it was this little Sonic fan game that became a game in its own right. Freedom Planet. There we go. That one is coming out for Switch now. And they ended with like a whole bunch of stuff. Literally every Star Wars game you could ever think of. They will bring back for different consoles. I'm not gonna list all of them, but that's a big one. Transistor gets a Switch release. They will be handling the collector's edition of Shenmue 3. That was pretty much the only thing that wasn't just we're releasing an old game. And they brought back 2 FMV games, like from the earliest 3DO, I think was their name. The little thing where Night Trap was on.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 games from that era. Corpse Killer, which is like a really cringy B movie thing. And then another one, which I Oh yeah, Double Switch. Double Switch was the other one.
Okay.
That's basically it. I would give a C because
Okay.
it was too long, but
Yeah.
it had its charm.
Mhm. Ubisoft, real quick. Let's just do some
Oh,
highlights on Ubisoft.
oh, I can nail that. So we got Watch Dogs Legion. That game looks phenomenal. That was probably like Cyberpunk is my like top, and then really close is Watch Dogs Legion. I've seen the original Watch Dogs games. They don't look really interesting. They're kind of whatever. Watch
2
Dogs
was
Legion
alright.
takes it's a very unique take on it, where it's almost to the degree of like you collect random people off the street as playable characters, and if they die, they're dead forever. That's kind of like the main thing around it. So you can play, and like you can find an old lady like on the street, and you
The
can
old lady
hack
was
into
the
her
best
life.
one.
You can hack into her life and make her a playable character, and then you can get like an entire squad of old ladies, and like that will be your entire group. I thought it was an amazing idea. Sounds dumb,
Yes.
but like what they showed in
Yes.
terms of gameplay was good. What they showed in terms of concept was fantastic. I was just overall really excited about that. The fact that it had a
Yeah.
ton of gameplay really sold it for me. That's the thing that by
They
far
spent
made it
20
so
minutes
close to
on that.
Cyberpunk. Yeah.
They spent 20 minutes on that. And
So-
before that, the only thing that was before that was like a symphony of, like it was an overture from all those
mhm.
Assassin's Creed games. It was like a little overture that was to
Yeah.
advertise a tour. And that was the only thing about Assassin's Creed that we had this year, which was kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, there was a few really weird things that they announced. So there was that. I feel like that's not a thing that's relevant to an E3 conference. And then
It isn't, but it was a nice start.
they had one of the people from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia show up on screen. So this was like no sense at all to me. They're making a new show about like game development for the
It's called Mythic
Apple
Quest.
TV Plus.
Okay.
Explicitly the Apple TV Plus. What land? I don't know how many of you own an Apple TV Plus. I don't even barely know what that is. So like I'm good on that front.
Well, yeah, the Apple TV, I think the Plus is like their
Yeah, their
streaming
service. Yeah, but like that's
Mhm.
still so dumb. So dumb. I figured like
Yeah.
Netflix exists for a reason, which is where I'm gonna
does.
get into another thing, which is also really weird. Division's making a movie, I guess, and that's
Oh yeah, I
going on
forgot about
Netflix.
that.
Okay.
That's going on Netflix. I don't know what that's about, but I mean, at least it's on a service that
Yeah.
exists and matters. So there's that.
I'm so glad that they picked their most boring franchise to make a movie about. I'm very glad about that.
I was shocked. They talked about Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I'm not a big Ghost Recon fan, but like any person that I know of that's even remotely thought about Ghost Recon has been super stoked about this. And they brought out to the Shane from Walking Dead on stage. He was on stage talking about
Frank
it. That was
Castle?
a thing. Yeah, from
Yes, Frank
Punisher.
Castle.
Yeah.
So much better.
Yeah, he was on stage for a bit. And then they talked. Okay, there's a bunch of really stupid stuff they talked about too.
Here's another thing that I didn't see coming: Adventure Time in Brawlhalla.
I was just getting to that. Yeah. So Adventure Time is now crossing over with Brawlhalla. So if you do play it, and there are people that do play Brawlhalla, but I have given zero like anything to
Brawlhalla's
Brawlhalla
fun.
ever. That's a thing. They have playable characters. For Honor got talked about, and I thought that game was so far dead, like
I
beyond
didn't
dead.
expect them to have anything for that. No.
I guess
Just
there's an
Dance was
expansion.
there.
There's
Just
an
Dance,
expansion is happening.
We could like expect Just Dance. I didn't expect them to tone it down so much. Like it was pretty tame for Just Dance standards.
What else? They talked about the Siege's new update. The new season started. Apparently, so I've actually been stopping on playing Siege for like the past like month, just because the recent patch was really, really bad. Like it felt really horrible in terms of gameplay. From what I've heard from a bunch of people I've been playing and from what I saw, looks a lot better now, like a lot better. So that's a big plus. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is getting a story creator, which I have no idea how that's gonna work. But if you play Odyssey, you might be really intrigued by that concept. So that's a thing.
And a new game by the people that made it.
Yeah.
Called Gods and Monsters.
Yeah, I'm
It
gonna
has
get
like
to
a
that
little
one.
Zelda-y thing going on with it.
Yeah, so they kind of just talked about that one for about like 30 seconds. They really didn't get like all into it. It was their last thing that they announced was just that. And basically, all I thought was Breath of the Wild. That was immediately my first like concept. It does look different, obviously. Like it's a lot more monster focused, I guess. But like it did really have like a Breath of the Wild feel to it in terms of like design.
I made a note on Roller Champions, which was this really weird sports game that just had I think the concept of it is phenomenal. They basically combine a bunch of sports into like a basketball-y, but on roller skates, and it has the art style of Jet Set Radio.
Yeah. So apparently roller skates are cool again. That's a thing. So I actually, one of my friends, he was on the podcast before. He did try it out the other night, and it actually does look fun. I'll give it credit. It looks fun in terms of gameplay, and he actually had a good time playing it. So it's a pre-alpha demo, whatever, $60 title. Roller skates, competitive roller skating is a $60 title. Immediately killed it for me right there. I genuinely thought this was going to be a free-to-play game. From what I saw, from like what they showed, it did not look like anything that really amounted to that exactly. So I was
definitely
shocked on that one.
I would have expected it somewhere around the $30, but full price is too much.
Yeah, it's
$30 would still be too much.
Yeah,
to be honest, but I expected it somewhere there.
Big announcement I'm really excited for: Rainbow Six Quarantine, which is a nice announcement. It's a 3-player tactical co-op game, PvE, using the characters from Siege. I'm pretty down for that. As somebody that does really like Siege, I'm totally into it. I'm super excited. I'm stoked. And it looks like a horror aspect kind of game also. So
I thought it was going to be like an additional mode for like Rainbow Six Siege. Like Call of Duty Zombie mode. That was what I first thought, but then they said it's going to be a standalone game, and I'm like, maybe.
Yeah.
They did do a zombie mode for a little bit, like a limited run zombie mode.
Yeah, I believe that was Operation Red Sky. I believe that's what it was called. I could be wrong. They just kind of did it as like a little thing to play, and from what I've heard, it's okay. It's nothing like really amazing though. It's pretty basic. But I'm excited to see what they do on this as like its own standalone IP. Really pumped to see that. They
spent way too much time on The Division in general. Like, here's more year one stuff and also episodes, and I didn't really pay attention. I didn't care.
I'm gonna be honest. I kind of completely agree. I mean, Division 2, from what I've heard, if you're like a Division fan, it's the best one by far. Like, it's really good.
It has colors. That's a change.
Yeah, it's gonna be having a trial, like a free to play trial, from the 13th to the 16th. So that's something if you want to try it. I'm probably gonna do that. But yeah, it's Division 2. If you like Division 2, you're probably gonna love this. But they announced this part blew my mind. So at this point they're announcing really phenomenal titles back to back to back, and I'm really stoked at this point. And then they announced a new mobile strategy game called Tom Clancy's Elite Squad, which is basically just taking random characters from all of the other like Clancy IPs and just throwing them into a mobile game. I was so confused by the concept of this. They're doing phenomenal for like the entire E3 except for that, and I was like, what are you doing? What's happening?
That's why they kind of fell off, right?
Yeah.
So
that's
final.
What?
It's a Final Fantasy Tactics, but for Tom Clancy.
Yes, essentially, yeah. I couldn't believe it. So that's that. We talked about Just Dance. I don't care about Just Dance. It exists.
Here's a big announcement that they made. They announced their Uplay Plus thing, which is basically, I think, their competition with Origin.
Yes,
and which is that huge. Will also come to Google Stadia. That's, I think, the first mention of Stadia up on this point, unless it came out up in the PC gaming thing. But I didn't think it did.
So in the Uplay Plus thing, the things I'm really excited about, Division 2 actually is in it, I believe. So Division 2 is in it, so you don't have to spend $60 on that title. Siege is in it as well. I think even Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is a massive game that a lot of people like and a lot of people think is like underrated, is going to be in it as well. So
Personally, I
I'm really
think it's
stoked about that.
overrated.
I'm very, very excited to see what they're going to be releasing on that. I'm thinking they might even release most of the Assassin's Creed like entire base games on it. That's what I'm really excited about because they went on a giant sale recently. I was keeping an eye out trying to like considering buying Odyssey, and they were selling like everything on sale for a while. And I don't know. I'm thinking that maybe they did that just to like get the last selling points out of that, and then just send them over to Uplay Plus. So I'm really stoked about that. That's my big excitement. And another thing that we actually did skip over in the Microsoft conference, I completely forgot about. So we did talk about the Xbox Game Pass for PC, but what we did not talk about is the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate on PC.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which is actually it's a Game Pass for both console and PC. So if you play on both of them, you're set. It's literally I think it's like $15 a month, which is whatever. And it includes Xbox Live as well, which is that's a big selling point for people. Like Xbox Live for the most part is a very spendy monthly purchase. So $15 a month for all three is really good. I'm actually considering buying that one right now, and I don't even have an Xbox.
Since last year, I am of the
sole
opinion
purposes
that
of that.
Xbox Game Pass is the best deal that you're gonna find when it comes to the subscription models that are out there right now.
Yeah. Xbox
By
Game
far.
Pass pretty much nails it on that front. But like, I'm really excited to see that Uplay Plus has their own announcements on that as a big thing. I'm really happy to hear that.
They needed to do that though.
Yeah. That
They were
basically
like the
covers
last
it
big
for me.
client that didn't have it, right?
I believe so. Yeah. That's the last big one.
Blizzard
for
doesn't
me.
have it either, but they don't have enough games to justify it.
That's the last big one for me. Gods and Monsters was their last announcement, but
the last
they showed
note that
so
I
little
have
that
is
it didn't matter.
the last note that I have is dog.
Oh
At some point they brought a dog on stage.
Yeah, when Frank or Shane went on stage, he also brought an adorable pupper on stage as well while they were talking about Ghost Recon. So that kept me around. I watched Puppo that existed. But yeah,
I
that's it.
gave a B minus
Oh,
at the
man.
end of it because I think it was better than all the drab. I gave a C or C plus for, but it did fell off at the end. Definitely, they started really strong though.
Yeah, that started amazingly strong. I give it like one of the best grades. This is the one that I gave like the best standing for sure. I was gonna give it a rating, like, and I gave Bethesda maybe like a 3, and then I'll probably give the other one a 4. This one's probably like an 8. I'm very happy with this. It's not like the best thing ever, but it's definitely really good. It's a very good step in the right direction though. But yeah,
cool. Green, how'd you feel about Ubisoft?
I thought it was one of the most solid ones. To be perfectly honest, it was up there with Square Enix and in the fact that they were actually showing new solid stuff.
Yeah,
and the flow of it was good. I mean, it still felt there was still that marketing aspect to it, but I mean, it was new stuff. Whereas like Bethesda was like 76. You know, like
spend money on our free-to-play titles.
It's like we spend some money. This is like actual new stuff. Like I mean, $60 for that game though. It's insane. But yeah, I mean that's what I like to see on E3 is something that's actually fresh and it's new. Like I played the first Watch Dogs game and it wasn't the greatest.
Yeah,
I actually felt like it when I bought it because I bought it brand new. I'm like, this is a AAA title.
Yeah,
this is Grand Theft Auto digital.
Yeah.
So I mean, seeing the solid changes in the new aspect Legion was actually a solid plus for me. So I would say it was solid. I'm right on the edge with Ren on. I would say giving it an 8 out of 10. Because it was one of the cleanest feeling bits to the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that's my take.
Yeah.
Cool.
Solid.
Cool. Let's move on to Square Enix real
Mhm.
quick.
Solid.
Yeah, did you watch this, Green?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you
I
want to
Really-
do?
I'll let fans been doing this.
Thank
I've
you.
been hype for an Avengers game
Mhm,
or any like solid good superhero game for
mhm.
forever.
I am very interested to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
So they started off with the best start they could have had. They lift up like the little what's the word for it? God damn it. I'm
Curtain?
missing a word here, guys. Curtain, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
They lift up the curtain and the very first thing you see is Cloud's sword. It was like such a spot on start, and then they went right into Final Fantasy VII Remake,
Mhm.
Mhm.
which showed a bunch of games. That's also one of the things that they spent like 20 minutes on. They spent
Yeah.
an insane amount of time with that. They showed, of course, gameplay. They also showed cutscenes and everything. Graphically, the game looks amazing. We were expecting that, and Tifa looks great. But what I want to focus on is mainly the gameplay that they showed.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Let's just get all this Final Fantasy stuff out of the way before we talk about the rest of the conference, because Final Fantasy was the biggest part of it by far.
Yeah.
So the gameplay is basically very modern. They kept it very in the spirit of Final Fantasy 15. They had some hints of 13 too in there, and then you can stop it and have like tactical stuff in there. And I thought it was a really cool compromise, but I can see it rubbing a lot of fans of the classic game the wrong way, and I did
Mhm.
see some negative reactions towards this style of gameplay.
Mhm.
So what are your guys' thoughts on that, first and foremost?
I did not get to watch
Yeah.
the Square Enix. I really don't know much that went on with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this is probably gonna be between you and Green.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I didn't really watch a whole lot of it. I saw a little bit of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it did look good. I can't really give it any like downsides on that, but I'm not a big Square Enix guy. I never really got into the Final
Mhm.
Fantasy series or anything like that. So yeah, I'm curious. Don't get me wrong, but by all means, go for it.
Well, seeing as Final Fantasy VII was the
We lost you a little bit there.
Yeah, you cut out there for a second.
I said since Final Fantasy VII was like the only Final Fantasy that I actually played,
Mhm.
I was really surprised with it. I heard they were thinking about doing it, but I never thought that it was like actually going to be a full remake. And seeing that and how good it looked, I was genuinely surprised. And then the solid amount of time they actually put into it, like a lot of the games like or a lot of the other presenters, it was like short 5-10 minutes maybe, but they actually dug deep in the Final Fantasy remake, and
Yeah.
it looks like you feel like it's the classic, but I mean new, fresh.
The
Mhm.
gameplay was totally different. Like it's very modern. They did actually show one of the early boss fights in this, which was exciting. Also, what they did during that was to show you that you can switch between multiple characters. So I think it's going to be really fun once you get like a full party going.
Mhm.
That's when I think this will look best. I'm kind of wondering why they didn't show it with a full party, because that should be like the most amazing thing ever. The
Mhm.
boss fight itself took a long time. They did cut out some of it, so they didn't
Mhm.
show like one boss fight in full. A lot of people were complaining about how long the boss fights took, and they only got like 100 XP for it as well.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit worried about grind,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
everything else that I've seen really hypes me on this. It's
Mhm.
episodic, so it's going to take a long, long time until we actually get like to see the whole thing front to back.
That'd be really frustrating.
I will also say that
Right.
the audience was completely eating it up.
Mhm.
Especially during even the cutscene stuff that they showed, the audience was going nuts. Once Tifa was first shown and once Sephiroth was first shown, there was like a full-on standing ovation. At least it sounded like one. I couldn't see the audience, but
Mhm.
it was pretty big. And
Mhm.
they hit all the right buttons, and there are only slight worries left for me, and I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to it. To quickly go over the other Final Fantasy stuff that they showed, there was like a little bit of the Final Fantasy Online gets like an update, and they get remakes for Final Fantasy or remasters for Final Fantasy VIII and Crystal Chronicles, and then there was also like a mobile game that I didn't quite understand. And then they had like a little weird trailer, which I didn't think was necessary, but it was quite amusing. Telling you basically that Final Fantasy music is now on streaming services like Spotify and etc. So you can now legally stream Final Fantasy music. That's good.
Honestly, that's actually kind of cool because the Final Fantasy music, even though I don't play Final Fantasy games, that is really good music.
Yeah.
I will give him credit on that one. I'm down for that. That is like a weird announcement for E3, but I'm happy about it. Thank you for telling me.
As for everything not Final Fantasy related on this, Octopath Traveler was got an announcement that it's now on Steam, and it was the first big out now announcement that we had all year this time, which seemed a bit late to me.
Yeah.
Then they jumped into Last Remnant, which sure, I didn't really was set for that. Dragon Quest Builders 2 looks really fun. I'm not quite into the let's have Dragon Quest in Minecraft, but if you are, then this looks like a phenomenal game to play. This looks great. Then they, of course, went into the proper Dragon Quest 11S Echoes of an Elusive Age, which is a title and a half. And if you want the Switch version, which was announced way later, but let's just put that in. Dragon Quest 11S Echoes of an Elusive Age, then Perfect Edition or like Ultimate Edition, then another S. Stupid.
The Dragon Quest naming is just as bad as Dragon Ball. It's so bad.
They had a little racing game, which is like top down. I'm not a big fan of racing games in the first place. It's cartoony, it's cute, it's fine, probably. I don't. Then some shooter, which I didn't know the name of, but it was just
Was it the Outriders or?
It might have been, yeah. I didn't write down the name. Kingdom Hearts 3 gets like a DLC, which is called Remind. Since I'm not big into Kingdom Hearts 3, I'm sure that Michaela has some thoughts on that, but I have not yet.
Yeah, Michaela is probably just all sorts of stoked.
Moist.
An update for Shadowbringers. For Shadowbringers is literally all I wrote. Then Dying Light 2 was shown again. Then another 3D thing, like an action adventure / RPG called Romancing Saga 3. Then War of the Visions, Brave Exodus. So basically, this was the big time when there was a bunch of just RPGs back to back to back. And then came Outriders from the Bulletstorm guys, which I made the explicit note. It's from the Bulletstorm guys. They also spent a lot of time just showing how the game was made in that particular case, which I didn't think was necessary really, because I'd rather have them show me more of the game or move on to the next thing. I didn't need that. And then there was the Crystal Dynamics thing. Which basically led into the Avengers thing. And here is where I'm going to give Mr. Green the stage, because he probably has some thoughts on the Avengers.
I've been seeing a lot of people bitching on Facebook about this. And it's mainly people who are only MCU solid people, which is just the movies. Which, as far as I'm aware, this is not supposed to be anything like the actual movies. I think it's supposed to be a standalone. And it looks like Taskmaster is going to be one of the villains in there. I specifically saw Taskmaster in there, which, I mean, he did make an appearance in the Spider-Man game, the last Spider-Man game. But he was like a side character for side missions, and then I think you fight him at the end. I never finished up all the stuff for that, but it looks really good.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the visual quality right now, and it actually looks really solid.
I mean, it's not like it has like aspects to you design, but it also it's straight away from that, as well as it's straight away from straight comics. It almost has an Ultimates feel to it, which is a separate universe of the Marvel line. I really, after seeing the video for this, wanted to get it because it looks like it's a team-based game. Like you can actually switch like that, and I would play the Hulk so hard because I mean that's legitimately my name. Twitch name is Mr. Green. So I mean, yeah, I'm hyped for it. They were saying that's no loot box, anything like that.
But there will probably be microtransactions because they announced an ever-expanding roster, which usually signals like, look at all these season passes, character, microtransactions, whatever. The question with that is how quickly will Deadpool be in the game? Because we all know he will be.
Yeah. More than likely, especially since Marvel really owns rights to Deadpool and the X-Men and stuff like that. I mean, I highly doubt that like Spider-Man will be on there, like at least Peter Parker Spider-Man. Just because Sony's gonna latch onto that and hold that like forever.
Yeah.
Maybe Miles Morales Spider-Man. Maybe. I mean, if they get lucky. But
Give
now
me
that
Kitty
they have
Pryde.
Kitty Pryde would be good too. I would definitely play as Jubilee as well. I mean, Jubilee gets a lot of shit, but she's actually a solid character.
Squirrel Girl, that's another fun
Squirrel
one.
Girl is a solid one, yeah. So it's interesting to see how they're gonna lay this game out over
I didn't quite understand in what way they're gonna add the heroes. Will they have like their own story arcs? Will it be like just for the multiplayer mode? How is that gonna work? I didn't quite catch that.
I really hope that they do have like a story mode for each character that they introduce, even if it's like short. I would still enjoy playing like an actual solo like story mission for it. But I mean, I love that it's online co-op. You can play it's 4-player online co-op, which is huge. So like you can get your friends and they're saying I'm looking on Kotaku and they say every new character and map added to the game will be free. I don't know exactly how that's gonna go down.
I believe it when I see it.
Yeah, that's same with me. I mean, when you have something like that where it's a big budget backing like Marvel, there's always a cash cow grab behind it, just like Pokemon and everything else. So it'll be interesting to see when that actually rolls out. What I'm really hoping is it's not going to be a disappointment because there's been an absolute abundance of superhero games that have just been absolute hot trash. And like, if anyone can make a solid superhero game, it'd be Square Enix.
Yeah.
So
I am looking forward to it. It was kind of curious to me why they ended with that because they didn't really show gameplay of it. They showed a lot of story stuff.
Yeah,
I would have loved gameplay of it because I am because of the history with superhero games. I'm now a bit doubtful on this.
Well, they said that the cinematic that they showed, it said it came from in-game footage. Also, Nolan North is playing Tony Stark, and if you don't know who Nolan North is, dude is he's got a very talented voice acting career. Specifically, he's been in a lot of Destiny. When what's his name? Firefly guy.
Marty.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. Oh God.
Yeah. It's gonna blow my mind. But when
name one guy.
He's a big guy. He's a huge person too. Like in the nerd community.
Yeah.
I'm drawing him like, but when he left Cade 6, like his schedule was too full for the Forsaken DLC for Destiny 2. So Nolan North actually did the voice for Cade 6, and you could hardly tell a difference. Like that's how talented this guy is with changing his voice, doing impressions, and making a solid voice acting for video games. So I'm hyped to see that. Like when I watched the footage, anytime that Tony Stark talked, it's like I couldn't tell that it was Nolan North.
Yeah. To round out my thoughts about this whole thing, I think I hit all the right notes in the beginning. I love the presentation style of having these picture frames slowly fill out and then have like a pan shot over everything that you've seen over the last hour and a half. So I thought that was really smart. It kind of fell off a little bit at the end, just like Ubisoft did, but it didn't do so in a terrible way. It was more so that they had like stuff in there which I didn't need. Like they focused a lot on the voice actors, which I get. I guess that Nolan North is a big thing, but you can just have him come out for a bit instead of having like a whole video on like the 5 main characters' voice actors. I didn't need that, and I also didn't need the development thing that they showed. Overall, I gave this a solid B as well.
Yeah. So thumbs up, thumbs down. What are you guys feeling?
Absolute solid thumbs up for me. I thought Square Enix killed it on this E3. And I'm really glad that they didn't do a whole bunch with Assassin's Creed, because it's like, or I'm sorry, they didn't do a whole bunch with their other games. I'm thinking Ubisoft still. I mean, Final Fantasy, they did give a good stretch for that, which was solid. That's what they should have done, because that is like their flagship, flagship games. But I was genuinely surprised with the Avengers aspect from it. The other games looked really good. I mean, it wasn't something that was like, bam, this is gonna kill it this year. But the presentation overall was really good, so they had it for me. So
cool. I'm gonna keep us rolling here. This will be the last one we talk about.
Oh, can we just really quickly talk about AMD as well?
Oh, if you wanted.
My notes on this are a mess, but I'm gonna try my best because I have no idea about hardware, but I watched this anyway because it was right before Square, so why not? They of course threw around a bunch of numbers and words that I didn't understand, but the main thing that I got from this is that they were constantly shooting at Intel. Like they were constantly comparing themselves to Intel, of course, and then the one part that they did that really resonated was that they had like a side-by-side comparison, of course, with an Intel thing, and then they showed how it looks like streaming on the highest settings, and then the Intel thing was literally like 2 frames a minute, and the other one was running like just under 60. I was like, damn, those are fighting words.
Oh, this was for the encoding, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was for the encoding.
Yeah. I have my own like thoughts on that one. Yeah. I don't know.
Then I made a note that a guy named Robert was called on stage 3 times, and every time he did, he was shaking the hand of the person that called him up, even though the first 2 times it was the same person. That was an explicit note I took.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah.
What do I do with my hands?
Then they made a big push for FX fidelity, which they brought up all the time afterwards. Like they had a big part where they brought on Jeff Keighley, who is the host of the Game Awards, of course, and he was bringing up all kinds of like gaming people that were talking about the games, and they were also always mentioning Fidelity FX. So this was the one where Randy Pitchford was actually on stage, and instead of talking about Borderlands, he instead took the time to like present the graphical capability with Fidelity FX, and he was talking about like waterfalls and look at this, here's the sun, and look at all those meteorites flying in front of the sun, and here is Pandora at night, and all of this stuff. I mean, I was impressed by the lighting simulation in general throughout this whole thing, but I mean, fidelity is not a big focus point of mine, so I would give it a thumbs up, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And the he in a half sentence he mentioned that you can go on different planets in the new Borderlands, which I didn't know before, so I made a note of that. And then they ended on like an insane like 16 core thing, which they were pushing a 12 core earlier in the presentation. That was already like, whoa, those are big numbers. And then they just brought out a 16 core, and even though I had no idea what was going on, my mind was blown. So, I would say it was really well structured. They killed it with the ending, and even though I had no idea about hardware, I came out glad that I watched it. So I would give a thumbs up. I didn't give a grade because I don't feel qualified to do that. Those are my notes on AMD.
It was a lot of stuff that we learned from Computech. So yeah, I didn't feel the need when I saw there was an AMD conference this year. I'm just like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they were boasting a lot of the new GPU,
mhm,
which I always take with a grain of salt because I mean even though the CPUs run really well,
Mhm.
and always have consistently ran very well, their GPUs have been really lacking compared to NVIDIA.
Mhm.
mhm,
Um, so I mean, for me, it's I have to wait until they actually get released for testing
Yeah, until there's
and
some actual
see.
benchmarks out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I need to see firsthand before I can say, hey, this is gonna stomp 2080 Ti's and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
mhm,
feel the
I,
same way. Whenever I
mhm.
see hardware nowadays that's like, "Oh, we're really amazing," and then you see the benchmarks and you're like, "You're not that great. You're
yeah,
really
Yeah,
not
with
like
the
that amazing."
yeah, that's why with when I was hyped with the CPUs because I mean I can see
Mhm.
them getting those numbers
Yeah.
because I mean I bought the 2700X. I started in running. It says it's running.
Mhm.
4.3 megahertz.
mhm,
Yeah.
It's running good or gigahertz. It's running good. Um, which I mean, for a CPU, AMD's always been like that. I mean, they don't really sugarcoat their CPU processors. I mean,
Mhm.
they
mhm,
say if it's gonna run 2.4 to 3.5, it's usually gonna run like that.
Yeah.
But like with the when they released the 580s, I mean, they're like, oh, this is gonna be fantastic. This is gonna blow Nvidia out of the water.
Mhm.
mhm.
It didn't. It didn't at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, from a price standpoint, yeah, it's good. I mean, but I mean, the performance is where it needs to be, and that's
I
Yeah.
what they
would
did.
say that most of the price points that they revealed were lower than I expected them to be for the
Hmm.
spec. Not
Yeah,
that
that's
I
always
have like
huge.
a lot of wisdom on that, but I expected them to be like in the $700 range, and then it was like 400 something.
Yeah, that's
Mhm,
always been AMD's thing is having uh good performance while still catering to the budget and um versus Intel being Intel and having a firm grip on the proverbial electronic base and
mhm,
saying this is how much we're going to charge and you're going to
Yeah.
enjoy it because it's Intel. You
Yeah.
know,
yeah,
Yeah.
and with the CPUs, I mean, the CPUs are, I mean, for the price, they're stomping. I mean,
mm,
Mhm.
that's insane. The insane performance from the CPUs versus what Intel has. Um, but I mean, when it comes to the GPUs, I have to see it to believe it.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Now we can do Nintendo.
Yes, let's do Nintendo. So the Switch is getting a lot of games, so I'm just gonna go through and name a few of the games that they're getting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alien Isolation, Witcher 3.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Um, let's see.
Witcher 3 was a
Spyro
big one,
Reignited.
actually.
What's that?
Witcher 3 was a big one, actually. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, graphically, it doesn't look as impressive, but
Yeah.
from the gameplay snippets they shown, it ran better than I expected it to.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So I was impressed with that.
yeah. Spyro Reignited, the trilogy. They are getting Dead by Daylight. We are getting on the
Dead by Daylight looked
Switch.
like shit on the Switch. I'm sorry.
Yeah. They're getting two ports from Resident Evil games.
Uh-huh.
Three
Resident Evil 5 and
actually,
Res
I
6. Oh
think.
yeah,
I
and
think they
two.
started with one, and then they said also 5 and 6, which
Yeah.
5 is a good get. 6 I could take or leave, but 5 as
Mhm.
a multiplayer experience is really fun.
Yeah. Um, some Smash DLC, Banjo Kazooie.
Let's talk about
Uh,
that for a second, actually, because they bookended with that. They started
mhm,
with like Link fighting in this adventure mode, then getting saved by
mhm,
the Dragon Quest guy, which is of
Mhm.
course the character targeted towards the Japanese market because Dragon Quest is huge there. And then at the
mhm,
end, they had Banjo Kazooie, which
Yeah.
was first like they love doing this, like fake out twice. Was first Duck
mhm.
and Dog, and then actual Banjo Kazooie beat him up, and that was
I
fun. And they ended on that note.
I've never been
So
so excited and then so tilted by a company and then so excited again. I was so salty when they're all like, I was like, "Oh my god, is that Banjo Kazooie?" And then it was like, "No, it's Duck Hunt. You
I
got
mean,
wrecked." And I was
at the
like, "I
second
hate you."
the second that I saw it was Duck and Dog, I had to laugh a little bit, but I saw it coming that they're gonna double switch
Mhm.
again because there's no
Yeah.
way they would get away with it if they didn't.
Yeah. Some games that are coming to the Switch
Mhm.
that they announced: Luigi's Mansion 3.
That one looks so fun.
It looked fun. It looked
Yeah.
really fun.
A lot of people were like kind of making jokes about the solid green Luigi in multiplayer they showed last year. This year they had a very good justification for it's not actually the multiplayer. You can do that yourself. It's Gooigi and he has his own gameplay mechanics and they're really fun. And in multiplayer, everyone can have a Gooigi and it's madness. Also, you can smash ghosts around and destroy furniture and it looks great.
There's Seiken Densutsu. I'm going with it. 3 remake, Trials of Mana coming in 2020.
Trials of Mana looks pretty sick.
Much.
I'm pretty excited about that one. I'm not like super excited, but it's cool.
Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
My cousin
trailer.
was so excited about it that didn't end up showing anything new at all.
Yeah. No More Heroes 3 announced.
I was excited for that one.
Yeah, I know that No More Heroes is a cult series. I don't know much about it at all, really.
I can't get the second one in Germany right now, so I need to import the second one, and I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Daemon X Machina gets a release date as well.
Looks cool if you like Max.
Was announced. What's that?
Looks cool if you like Max. They opened last year's Direct with it, and everyone was like, "Ooh, what's this?" The graphic style looks great. From the gameplay that I've seen, I'm pretty into it, but it's not a game that I would actually play myself because I don't like Max.
Yeah. There was the Contra Anniversary Collection surprise release, which is available starting today. Then there's a new Contra game coming for the Nintendo, which I know a lot of retro gamers are really excited for.
It has a panda bear, and he's the best.
I was thrown off. I did not realize that was a Contra game until they were all like, "Hey, look, it's Contra," and I was like, "Wait, what?"
I did not recognize it either.
Yeah.
You're not alone on this.
That one was
but
a little
I'm
jarring.
totally into it.
Yeah.
Of course, we have an Olympics coming up, so Mario and Sonic at the
Those games are always fun. I wouldn't go out of my way to get it, but I wouldn't be against playing those. They're always a good time.
And there was just absolutely nothing for Zelda fans here. Absolutely nothing.
Not a thing.
Zelda fans got cucked.
Nothing at all.
Screw Zelda.
Oh man.
Zelda fans got absolutely cucked this year.
Oh my god.
Question.
No.
Question. What is Zelda?
It's a dude with a green cap, and he has a sword. And
yeah.
So he's an elf. He's an elf.
Yeah, he's an elf.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me actually. Okay.
They showed off the remake of Link's Awakening, all right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the one more thing this year, before this last Splash King comes out, was basically them announcing that they will make a sequel to Breath of the Wild, which is a big announcement.
I am mega pumped.
I just am.
Go for it. Go ahead.
I just imagine when I saw that, my brain automatically kind of went to Ren. I'm like, I wonder how aroused, I wonder how turned on and hard and wet Ren was when he saw that. Because I'm just like,
what?
I'm just like, Ren was probably like this.
I was looking at the trailer and they had like these floating things, and the soundtrack, because it was reversed, sounded a bit Metroid-ish, and I was like, no, they're not going to show something Metroid Prime related. Then it was clear that it was Zelda, and I was like, is this like an expansion or something? Then they said sequel, and I was like, all right.
That was my thought too. I thought it was an expansion also. And then I was like, wait a minute, is that canon? Wait, what is happening? And then it was like, boom, sequel. And I was like, what? What? Oh man, I'm already so pumped. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm just gonna say like the things that I hope that comes out of it. So the big thing that's like the issue with Breath of the Wild, the story isn't really great. To be completely honest, it's whatever. It's very exploration heavy. The exploration is fantastic, but like the actual storyline around it's whatever. Hoping that they really, really add on top of that, and it's gonna be in the same world, to my understanding. It looked like it. So, I mean, that's pretty sick. Hopefully, it's going to be like a reimagining of that after like a certain period of time. I will lose my mind. I'll be so pumped. Oh, man. I'm stoked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that was pretty big for a lot for the Zelda fans out there.
Hmm.
Yeah, overall I was actually pretty happy with the Nintendo. It wasn't anything like super great, but a lot of stuff for Switch fans. A lot of games that Switch fans probably wanted on there for a while, Dead by
Yeah.
Daylight or um, The Witcher 3 and all the other games that
They
kind of go
had
along with that.
this new platinum game called Astro Chain, and that one looks actually great.
Oh,
It looks like it
yeah.
strikes me as like a combination of Persona and Devil May Cry, the newer ones,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks really good.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, like, what are thumbs up, thumbs down? What are you guys thinking on Nintendo's
For Nintendo's, I thought it
direct?
was really good. I thought it was really good.
Mhm.
It was one of the most overall solid ones.
Mhm.
There wasn't anything that I particularly looked at and was like, this seems dumb. Like, there was no random mobile cash grab title. There was
Mhm.
nothing really along
Mhm.
those lines. I mean, granted, the mobile cash grab title would have been Blades, and that was announced during the Bethesda convention. But I
It
mean,
was. They showed it
but
like briefly in the coming to Switch thing.
yeah, but yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm
To be
excited.
fair, I think that controlling the sword with the Joy-Cons will be at least a little bit of fun.
Yeah. It would certainly be more fun than what the current controls are for
Mhm.
Blades on mobile, but
Definitely.
Yeah.
Also, it's
It,
not going to drain the battery as quickly.
it solidly, it almost made me regret selling the Switch I got for 4 days. It was more than that.
Mm,
I mean, I had it for like 2 weeks, but still,
Hmm.
like, almost made me regret selling
Yeah.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
if I really want to, I'll buy a Switch later down the road. But I mean,
they showed a game with like a really intriguing art style called Empire of Sin, and I have no clue what this
Mhm.
game is about, but it has a noir flair, and it looks really interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
That might
And
be some
that
sort of
they
tactics
showed
game.
that after the Pokemon stuff, which struck me
Mhm.
as an interesting choice. Also, they had this
Yeah.
weird dragon game called Panzer Dragoon,
Mhm.
which looks
Mm.
like Star Fox in worse. That was probably the most underwhelming thing they had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marvel
Um
Ultimate Alliance 3 was in there, Zelda and Necro Dancer
I don't know.
mashup.
mhm.
I'll give it a solid 7. I mean, like, it was good. It was just overall good. I'm not a mega Nintendo fanboy. Like, this is my first
Mhm.
Nintendo product for the longest time, so a lot of it is kind of
Mm-hmm.
like whatever to me. I mean, I know a lot of people are really excited about a new Luigi's Mansion. That's cool, but like, I never played the original. It's that kind
Mhm.
of thing. Overall though, it seemed like a solid presentation. I'd say that this is probably like my it's pretty tied, like, along with Microsoft's. That's the way I see it.
Mhm.
Like, they were both
Yeah.
really solid conventions. They were kind of the
Yeah.
run of the mill, but what I expected, and I didn't lose any expectations. I'm happy. I'm content.
Mhm.
Honestly, the presentation style was just as you expect from Nintendo Direct. It was to the
Yeah.
point. They didn't have too much fluff. They introduced a new a guy from Microsoft Nintendo of
Mhm.
America,
Yeah.
who was
Oh, yeah.
introduced with this little Bowser skit, which I thought was really hilarious.
That was cute. Yeah.
And yeah, I would have kept them on the same level with Square Enix and Microsoft, which would have made it a three-way tie. But they
Mhm.
also had Animal Crossing New Horizons,
That's true.
That's
which
right.
really prompted me to give them a B plus, which makes it the
Mhm.
best conference for me personally. Because you have like an island thing, and you can make your own roads, and you can jump over the river finally. So that's a big time saver.
Uh-huh.
And it has like up to 8 players, I think they said,
Yeah.
co-op on the island. You can make your own furniture. There's so much in this that I always wanted in Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
And I get that a lot of people don't care about Animal Crossing and don't see the appeal, but goddammit, I was hyped for that.
Honestly, as somebody that's never played an Animal Crossing game, that appealed to me. I looked at it and I was like, that's actually kind of interesting. Okay. I got you. I see you. It almost looked like it just straight up turned into like it completely reminded me of like Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
The way that they tried to display it, and I don't have an issue with that at all in the slightest. So I mean, I'm
Exactly.
happy. But yeah.
Cool.
yeah, it was definitely solid.
Yeah. Anything else on Nintendo, real quick?
Not
I
really.
think I
I'm
mentioned
good.
everything important.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, guys, we were
How long were
gonna.
we online, by the way? How long does this run for?
Almost 3 hours.
almost 3 hours, which is why I'm kind of like,
Yeah,
we could talk about the fact that Sony wasn't there, but they weren't there. Why even
not
mention
We can
surprised.
it?
discuss that next week.
I'm really not
Yeah,
surprised. I didn't
They
expect them to be. I
they
for a
probably just
while I
didn't
thought they were
have
already doing it.
anything
well,
really.
they said they weren't going to be, so
Yeah, yeah.
um,
It was definitely better than them showing up and
Okay.
doing the flute thing like they did this year.
There
Or
is
last year.
one thing. There is one
Mm.
little. Well, it's not little, but of all of the things that Bethesda conference could have not mentioned, how come they didn't mention Starfield? The thing that they've been legit working on for years. That was their
Todd
one
Howard,
saving
Todd
grace,
Howard
and they
mentioned
threw it
in
in the
like a half
trash. But yeah, like that's it. That's all. What?
So at least they mentioned it.
Why give the slots to like 3 mobile games if you could get it to Starfield and then not like
Right.
make people not hate you? That was
Yeah.
my immediate thought on that. But that's
I'm
all.
very,
That's my
I'm
little
very
tidbit.
interested to see if they're gonna put something on next year or not. I would advise against it if I was in their PR team, but you never know.
Yeah, they need to spend some time.
Yeah.
They need to like, well, because they also have QuakeCon and DoomCon and
Yeah.
whatever else they're gonna be. They gotta spend some time and reevaluate their PR and marketing strategy and
Mhm.
realize that they have some bad karma their way. People are
Yeah.
not happy with them, and it's gonna make their conferences and all their, they're gonna get ragged.
Mhm.
Which actually, if you guys don't mind me getting on my soapbox real
Go
quick,
for it.
And I'll let you guys sign on to this if you guys want, but I did want to mention this. The article from CNET. Did you guys hear about this?
Yes, it's a big deal right now because it's threatening a lot of
Mm.
YouTubers.
Mm-mm.
Well, and I just want to mention this because the whole thing about CNET was really trying to focus on the negativity that games critics and game reviewers have towards, and mostly YouTubers. And you guys can have your opinions about the quartering. You guys can have your opinions about
Oh,
Angry
I did hear
Joe
about this.
or
Yes.
Jim Sterling
Mhm.
or Upper Echelon. But what's not okay, or what to me, what is utterly ridiculous, is for somebody to complain that a reviewer is too negative or
Right.
that a commentator is too negative, and then to go to advertisers and just be like, they say mean things. We don't do that in any other area of journalism or industry, right?
Mhm.
People don't go to the advertisers at the Washington Post and say they said mean things about my representative,
Yeah.
right? That
In
doesn't happen.
journalism, especially in like a field that is not as controlled as game. Like gaming is the least controlled entertainment media, I think.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
don't even
So
have like gaming unions in the industry, so
Right.
we really need people that point bullshit out. And if their style is overly negative, like a
Mhm.
Jim Sterling or Yahtzee Croshaw, those
Mhm.
guys are needed
Yeah.
because they are consistent in that. They have been consistent over years. Angry Joe as well. So if they deviate from that, you know something is good,
Yeah.
or like, and that's just needed. They cannot change their brand over this.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's basically what CNET or the CNET article is kind of maybe implying, if the worst case scenario happens, is that those guys are forced to either change their brand or die off.
Mhm.
Yeah. My main
And that
issue
would be
is
the
that
worst thing
like
that could happen.
my
Mhm.
main issue is okay. Say if out of fucking nowhere all the negative reviewers are gone, then you're just left with the like unoriginal Game
Yeah.
Informer garbage. Like what
Yes.
does that really matter?
Mhm.
That's not a review at all in the slightest. It's just a bunch of people that got sold out and paid to
At
like
that
say
point, it's
good
marketing.
things. Exactly. You're just marketing. You're not actually doing a
Mhm.
review. That's the entire point of a review.
So something, and I'm surprised I haven't seen a campaign like this, but here's basically what I'm going to kind of start in retaliation for this, because this affects us as
Mhm.
well. We're nowhere near Upper Echelon or
Right.
Legacy HD Killa or Jim Sterling or whatever.
But shit, look at the
Uh,
stuff we said today.
yeah, but we're still reviewers. We're still commentators in many ways. I'm not going to be going to CNET, and if I have to go to CNET, they are already on my ad block, and I won't be removing that ad block in retaliation. They decided to go after advertisers on YouTube to, target game reviewers. Sorry, if you're going to be doing that, then you're not going to be getting my AdSense.
Right.
And I recommend everyone else do the same.
Yep.
Either don't go to CNET, and if you have to go to CNET, install your ad blocker. Don't whitelist them on your ad blocker.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I just wanted to get on my soapbox for and just say, pay attention to this, because
No, that's completely reasonable.
I get people don't like the quartering. I totally understand why people don't like the quartering. Or Jeremy Hambley, if you want to call him by that.
Or Sid Alpha, who is also kind of caught in a crossfire because he is like partnered with the quartering.
Yeah. Or Clean Prince Gaming. Clean Prince Gaming is just basic, right?
Yeah.
He's not negative or angry like Jim Sterling or the quartering. So
I think if you really have an issue with that, like, this is free content. It's free content that they're providing that's literally a review. If you don't like it, you can watch something else. Like, you have that option. It's not like you're paying for it. It's nothing along those lines. If it was something like that, I'd be like, okay, maybe. But that's the entire point of a reviewer, is you pick somebody with the same mindset as you. That's like your main core focus on that. So, like, for example, I might not be a big fan of indie games at E3. Fan is. I would go to Fan if I was like somebody like that. I wouldn't go to me, obviously. What knowledge would I have on the subject? That's the exact same way that I would be for something like that. That's ridiculous. It's utterly preposterous to just be like, no, that reviewer is like, obviously his opinion doesn't matter. It's like, maybe not to you, but it doesn't mean it doesn't matter. You can't just do that.
I mean, to that point, even when I'm outside of my expertise, like with the AMD stuff earlier, when something blows even my mind and I don't understand the numbers they're throwing at me, that it's at least on some level impressive.
Yeah.
So even when I'm in a AAA space and I'm commenting on stuff, that comes from a place that it has been an opinion that has been formed over years. So it still has some value, even if it's not my main thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I would encourage everyone to go to multiple reviewers and not just to the ones that you will agree with.
Yeah. So that's that CNET story. I wanted to throw my support behind those creators. I wanted to condemn CNET. I wanted to condemn that writer. I'm not going to say who the writer is. And I encourage this campaign. If you have to use CNET, make sure you have your ad block on. I think it's only fair.
Yeah.
So, other than that, guys, anything else? Let's go on ahead and get some plugs out of the way. Ren, what's coming up on your channel?
I might actually be playing the older Halos coming up soon. Probably starting tomorrow. I'm not sure. We'll see. I did try out Doom. It was my first time ever playing Doom last night. Loved it. That game is so good. Oh my god. But in anticipation for Reach coming to PC sometime today. Don't know when. Or not today, excuse me. Sometime this month. Definitely not today. That's a big lie. I'm lying now. But Reach is supposed to be hitting PC sometime this month. In wait for that, I'm gonna be trying to play as much Halo as possible, just to get myself hyped for it even more. That's basically it, though. But yeah, you can find me at twitch.tv/renditions 2Zs because I'm dumb and I can't spell. That's it. That's
okay.
Is that your tagline, your official tagline?
Yes, it is. Bet.
It is.
Oh man.
Fan.
Yeah.
Go on ahead and plug away, sir.
This week, I would direct everyone to my YouTube channel, which has the same name as my Twitch channel, so you can find it easily. I'm going to cut up all the stream bots from, this E3 weekend. I'm going to just arrange them in a way that they are focused on like a single conference per video. So it's more easy to watch than like the 7-hour VOD from day 2. I'm going to cut out some of the directionless blubbering between conferences as well. And yeah, that's basically the main content output, because that's going to take my attention for most of the week until I'm getting back into like streaming games. Also, I'm going to write full articles on the E3 on my German blog, but that's going to be totally useless to pretty much all of you. So
we'll still share it.
Yeah.
We'll still share it for you.
It's called SoWasWeiEinFan blog.
Oh man.
GreenElite, what's coming up with you?
All right. Well, I'm mainly going to be focusing on Destiny 2 this week, probably the next couple of weeks. They just released the new season of Opulence, so I have to grind my level up, and I've been really behind. And I'm also trying to figure out what charity to donate to for my 24-hour stream. I know I'm going to be doing the first stretch. I'm going to be doing all the Destiny 2 raids that are released front to back. So that's going to be a good chunk of time, but I got to be prepared for that mentally and physically. So pretty excited about that. Just leveling that up. I might be playing some Apex as well. Just depends on how much I pull my hair out when I'm grinding on Destiny. So, but really good. Also, a side note, Bungie didn't really do much for E3. However, they did do a Twitch live stream on Thursday, and they released the new Vidoc for their plans going forward post Activision through major shade at Activision. They're going to do cross saves. So like if you have
that's right, yeah,
platform, like if you're playing on console and you want to switch to PC, which I plan on doing, I'm going to cross save my stuff to PC and play on both. Which is huge. And so I mean, major shade was thrown. The video was fantastic. Like they're changing everything. So
Yeah,
it's going to be good. It's going to be great. I'm super excited for the future of Bungie. So
cool.
that's all I got.
Coming up on my channel, I'm gonna be doing probably a test stream tomorrow or Friday night. I'm kind of in, still like getting into this new place. Like I don't even have a couch yet. So in like obviously the kitchen is in the background there. So I'm gonna kind of be deciding how I want to arrange this place best for stream. But I'll probably be doing a test stream tomorrow. I'll make sure everything is at least working technically. Um, we have a little bit of Pokemon Crystal Clear to go through, but actually, I'm probably going to try out that Splitgate game.
Oh yeah,
as a bit of a test stream just to check things out. Other than that, guys, you can follow the podcast on Spotify, subscribe on Apple iTunes, or I'm sorry, not Apple iTunes. They actually just did a whole thing about that. Apple Podcast. We're also on TuneIn and Swoot, and you can also subscribe on YouTube, and we really appreciate you if you guys did. We're trying to get to the 100 subs so we can have the custom
URL.
have the URL correct.
Yeah, I
Thank
got
you.
you.
You can also, if you guys want, you guys can just follow this channel here and watch the videos. So yeah, it's all of the places you can catch the podcast. We really appreciate if you guys shared this with your friends. Just tell your friends about us. We'd really appreciate it. Some other things that is coming up. We have our 1 year anniversary coming up very soon, and we do have plans for that.
Very hype.
Yes, GreenElite knows some of the stuff that we're planning. Because he is often my tester, and I know he keeps things close to his chest.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Damn.
So yeah, me and Ren will be having some. We'll be talking more about the 1 year anniversary here. So yeah, if that's it, guys, we will talk to you all later.
Yeah.
Keep celebrating Pride Month, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, keep celebrating Pride Month. That's right.
All the way to the end of June.
Yep.
All the way to the end of June.
All the way.
Let's overthrow all the bigoted hate with more love.
Yes. Rock and roll, guys. You have a wonderful evening. Thank you for enjoying an extra long Next to Nothing podcast, and we will see you again next week.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye.
Doodles.
Bye.
Literally almost 5